Good evening, guys, and welcome back to the CoR channel. It is time for CES, the final week 2 of the Grand Finals, and it should be a very, very good event. I'm joined by Silencer once again. How are you doing? Yeah, of course, it's still open. Of course, as you mentioned, we are doing most consistent team as well over the 2 weeks. We can have a look at the leaderboard for that. But as you mentioned, K7 already 40 points clear of that. So, I can't imagine we're going to see them really let off the gas too much. Certainly, judging from their performance this week, could be a nice little payout these last couple of weeks for them. The rate they're going. And, I think they're just going to try and cement what they already have. And clearly they're going to want that second win as well, but I don't think they'll be too disheartened after their performance in here and PCL if they do drop down a little bit. No. Yeah, and they've got a very good chance of doing it here. But let's go straight over to game one. It is going to be down from the south to the north, EEMM tonight, and we're going to see them straight out the plane with a Guetta as well, because military all the way up to Severny.
K7 and Aguita, or whether you've got the likes of the Pachinki, School, Roz, Severny, pretty much everyone getting to where they like to go. Hospital, a little bit of a stretch, same with South George, but yeah, I think most people should be okay. Maybe a little bit of a problem as well for Torch over in Milter Power, but I don't think there'll be too much of a contention early on, and most teams should be able to get to where they want to go.
Yeah, I think you're right. And before anyone slates me, in case we've missed some of the audio there, it should be all right now, but do put in chat if it's still bad after that. But yes, of course, we need to talk about BT as well. Joining us for this final week, they have replaced QP, who unfortunately couldn't field a team this time. We appreciate there's been a lot of other stuff on and a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, unfortunately couldn't make it for the second week. But hopefully we'll see them back in future events as well. So BT are going to be starting on their own point tally, but I can't imagine they're going to be able to rack up 100 on points plus in a couple of days.
Yeah, I think probably BT may be out of the question for getting the overall prize. Starting 100 points down with only 8 games to go is, even just 100 points in 8 games is a massive total anyway from K7 last week. So, yeah, I think they're going to really struggle to be able to get that overall prize. However, the money was all in this week anyway. That was where the biggest chunk of change was. And if you win this week, you win more than that anyway. So, it's nice that we have managed to get an extra team in. Obviously, BT being invited because they were 9th on the lower bracket.
Yeah.
For that week, and actually quite surprising that they were 9th on that lower bracket. They've been playing very well so far in this event. Sort of not really been around too much recently. I know obviously BT a very, very well-known name across many comp events over the last few years, but yeah, not really doing too much. And for them to come back and really, perform as well as they did was a massive showing, and it was a shame to see them not qualify. So I am glad to have them back for sure, especially as they did miss out literally on a tiebreaker as well. They had the same amount of points as 8th place, but yeah, just scraping through narrowly, or they didn't scrape through narrowly. And obviously now getting that chance to kind of rectify, and I think they're literally coming in with a point to prove. They've got nothing to lose. They weren't in for the money anyway. So I think they're just going to go all out, and a BT team that have got, that sort of haven't got that pressure on them. Definitely, a scary team to come up against.
Yeah, you mentioned we haven't seen them certainly in the capacity of BT, but we know these players as you mentioned, and yeah, certainly one to worry about. You look at Wyatt and Donny, massive teams in there, massive players in there, so definitely in with a good chance. Look like they are a little bit contested by Mway, of course. This is the thing when you join the lobby late, you're not always going to get your drop, especially as considering the other teams in this lobby aren't going to give up their spot to a team who has come in late and quite rightly are below them on the leaderboard. They qualified below them, so the way you see it, you would see them as a lesser team in this situation. So Mway quite rightly, I think, not giving up their spot because they've posted about it. Yeah, BT just tightening up a little bit here, and can't imagine we'll see them stick around too long.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, Mway been dropping here the whole time. They're not going to change things up. It's up to BT to try and contest them a little bit and scare them off of that drop spot. Mway might choose to move now that they've realised BT, they're going to continue to drop here, and that's completely up to them. Maybe not wanting to take any sort of early fights, but both teams seem to be quite comfortable with having this, sharing this area and having that little bit of a split between them, and no real engagements coming through just yet. So I don't think there'll be too much of an issue. Another thing to point out as well, Donny, we kind of mentioned about the lower bracket and then BT not being able to qualify. Donny was kill leader in that lobby.
Yeah, that's true.
Despite the fact that they finished in 9th. So what that says to me is the rest of the team, that they were clearly there to support Donny. It reminds me of the old 4 a.m. days when it was pretty much everyone was playing around God V. Just trying to, if you kept him alive, he was farming points and they were doing very well. But the problem is the rest of BT, they really need to try and pull their weight in this one, because it's not going to be enough just to rely on that one member. You've all got to be able to perform and pick up the points. And so hopefully they do get that opportunity to be able to do so in this one. Just having a little look up towards the north, though, because we do see EXH look like they're heading straight towards CoR's position. CoR currently only with 2 members in this compound, and they've silently pulled up, I think, Tweak and Marco just scouting this compound out. I think they might have maybe spotted Traves as he's running back towards the compound. Need to be a little bit careful of this one. But yeah, I think they're just going to jump back on the bike and leave this one straight away. And actually, it's a little bit lucky for CoR, because if the whole of EXH had pushed into this one, I think they would have, they might have actually been able to come away, especially seeing Howard's rocking an M16 as well. Doesn't look like he's got the best of loot either.
No, but the EXH, this is how quickly your fates can change. Linkadox has taken a position which is clearly their backup here, and he's taking a few shots towards them. Benz did make it to the hill, obviously, to scout this out, but Linkadox just pushing straight in there on the bike can sometimes be the best method of scouting out, and it's worked out for him here. Just got to wait for the rest of his team, who are actually just holding Cube just behind here, so you wonder if maybe he'll be shouting at them to come and give him some support here, or whether Jimbo and the rest of the boys are going to be looking to maybe pick up a few points from the bridge.
Yeah, of course. I think it's definitely a possibility that you will see some people try and take some bridge camps on in this one. Mway, though, do manage to take Spencer out. No chance of any sort of revive on him. All 4 members of Mway fully crashing on towards Spencer's position there. Unfortunately, catching him off on the rotate. The rest of the team a little bit too far away, already in towards the zone. Got themselves a nice position. They put themselves 3 gear as well, but unfortunately they are just down to a 3 now. That's definitely not the start WC would be wanting. WC, kind of been a little bit hit or miss so far the last few weeks. I think they're really starting to come through and get a bit of momentum going. We saw it in the last day of PCL yesterday, picking up 2 back-to-back wins in the first couple of games and really put themselves up back in towards the money and getting some decent placement at the end of the event. But yeah, up until that point, they kind of hadn't quite found their stride. So definitely a team to watch for this event, I'm sure, and maybe we'll be able to see them start to really start off on a good footing and be able to pick up a good amount of points and maybe contest for that top spot. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. And going into that day, of course, PCL, they touched on it, of course, but that leaderboard was so open for 2nd, 3rd, 4th place. All top 8 was just absolute gaping, of course. Well, 2nd to 7th, 2nd to 8th, let's say, excuse me. And yeah, WC really jumped up ahead. And the beauty of this as well is, of course, we are going in with a fresh leaderboard. So forget about last week. You can almost use that as a scrim if you want. And now is the time to really try and punish some teams, really pick up some points, as we see a couple of knocks already coming in. Linkadox has found Benson. This is a weird play here. EXH, the rest of TSS were kind of moving over to support him potentially, but they've kind of backed off a little bit. But in the meantime, EXH have been looking the wrong way. Bent's pushed down on his own and now seems to have lost his life.
Yeah, it is a little bit of an odd one. I think going to try and see if he can maybe regroup with the rest of the team, and there is a potential chance that he might be able to do so. But I think the fact that Polly's just stepped out there, has thrown the nade, can get rid of that fence, and I think should be able to find him with this second nade hit. Just almost find him, but the rest of EXH not going to be able to push down that hill at all. So Ben's going to be losing his life, and as you said, bit of a weird play because didn't really have to engage in that fight. They were perfectly happy on that ridge line, and the fact they've just pushed down and found TSS in the compound has meant they have lost someone. Jimbo, though, on the other hand, is taking a fight with BHE elsewhere. Did getting involved on that one as well, stealing that one away from TSS. Going to be picked up by Washed, and all of a sudden BHE now also feeling the wrath of these teams. Then King going to be finding himself on his own in Cube. And the rest of the team a little bit further south as they now take the fight with Torch. So BHE literally fighting about 3 different teams at the moment. It's not the start or the position they would be wanting to find themselves in. OG just going to have to hold down on the hillside. He has been spotted. Shots did rain his way. And he can jump straight in that vehicle and try and... I don't know if he's going to try and regroup with Zen King, but it is going to be difficult because of the fact that the bridge now very, very, kind of getting quite congested over there.
Yeah, it is, and you can see Jimbo is running the M16. Clearly didn't have much loot, but yeah, BHE kind of caught on the drop with Dig, I think it was, going, Gatka. So they did have to kind of float over. Larry was running for the first 3 minutes, before you even managed to find a bag, etc. BHE, if you remember, are actually winners in the previous game. They did pick up the last win of last week, but Zen King doing all he can to fight off this advancing army of TSS. Lingodox has moved up into the car. They know exactly where he is, and he's going straight round the side. You can probably hear him on the stairs here. Yeah, I heard him just go back upstairs here. Probably chunking already, going to try and get that res, but no, he's going to confirm that as quickly as he can. And now...
Yeah, I feel like maybe a bit of a misplay there from TSS because they knew that there was just a solo in here, and they've just allowed him to just flush Polly out. The rest of the team kind of looked like they were a bit not really doing anything. I think one of the members needs to get to Polly's position, try and make sure that any peaks that came through were able to get traded. Make sure you can keep him alive because Polly's pretty much just lost his life for nothing here. But Zen King does manage to pick himself up a nice early point. Now having to try and hold off the rest of TSS as they try and push in towards his position. He's sort of moving around this building quite a lot, trying to see if he can, get something going. That nade's can go upstairs, but Zen King on the stairs, he's going to be able to get down there pretty quickly. But that molly, though, he's going to find him and can do a lot of damage as well. Going to try and get himself in here, get himself a little bit of extra gear by the looks of things. And unfortunately, just down to bandages, he's going to be able to do too much. Going to have to just hit the deck, hit those bandages, and hope that the push doesn't come through. OG, though, has been able to regroup with his teammate here, and now it's a 3v2, and all of a sudden, BHE no longer look like they're completely on the back foot, and there's a chance that they somehow come away, on top of this one.
Yeah, and OG pushing in this late, I'm not too sure, where this decision has come from. We've seen this from BHE in previous games where they've been 1 or 2 up. The util just really not hitting there for OG, kind of flashes the wrong building. I'm not too sure, what's happened to the comms, but, he kind of came across the bridge, went the other way, then decided to double back. And, they've got to improve on this, really. I think they'll know it more than anyone, that they've got to sort this communication because it's really not been working for them in this event thus far. But, the longer this fight goes on, we can see Torch just occupying that coast. They want to get involved. They know there's points up for grabs here. They know who this is. And knowing that they can really, really put in a good shift. Of course, TSS and Torch were I think there was only a couple of points between them from last week's leaderboard. So they will definitely want to try and get them out early if they can.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, with this fight, we have got some comms once again from some of these teams, TSS being one of them. So I think we should get over there and have a little listen to see what TSS are discussing while they take this fight with Torch.
Middle building. We can me and you.
Gonna get.
You in front of you. On the left. Ah, HQ.
One up.
I'm watching upstairs. He's on the stairs, he's on the stairs.
On the...
What?
One is on the backside. They're all backside pushing. I'm pushing. I'm pushing my kitchen. They're on me.
Got knocked one
Okay.
outside.
Nade. Oh, lucky. One is on the backside, Jimbo. Back.
On me, on the
Back.
stairs, on me.
Why
On
is
me,
it
on me,
you?
on me. On the door.
If I'm pushing you,
You guys push.
left, Jimbo, left.
Left side.
Nice!
Oh
Nice,
my
Jimbo.
God, Jimbo. Good shit, bro.
Oh, what a clutch there. Jimbo coming in really well. I didn't think they had it in them there, to be honest, but annihilating Torch in the end. You know, so much carnage, so much confusion, and actually got themselves a nice spot to work from now.
Yeah, I tell you what, yeah, it was carnage and confusion, but not between TSS. You know, their comms were so clear in that, you know, calling out exactly where the players were to Jimbo, and he was just able to just feed off that information and catch everyone out. And yeah, I mean, I think maybe getting a little bit of help there by Dig, peppering some shots down towards Kaomi. You know, BHE also kind of maybe throwing Torch off a little bit. The fact they managed to finish that fight off, and TSS just, yeah, came across on top. And, you know, yeah, okay, they're down to just 2 members, but picking up a nice number of kills to start off with. Already 6 kills on the board. And, yeah, they've got a chance to be able to carry on in this one. Meanwhile, though, the zone has shifted, and it has kind of, it's definitely clearly on the north side now. Phase 3, you know, there was always a chance it could shift down south, but most of these teams are already banking on that northern shift. You'll see pretty much everyone, you know, in the zone, still having to try and make it in towards phase 3, though. And Dubhub, they have got to try and get across the water, so that is going to be a bit of a challenge for them. But most of the other teams already across on the other side of the zone. GT starting to push their way in, Aguita as well towards the north. Going to be heading themselves straight in towards K7, and with only 2 members left up, that's definitely a scary squad to be coming up against with only 2.
Yeah, and K7 have done this really well. They've come across George Bridge. They've weighed their way around. You know, they've got this hillside to work with. It's not the best of cover really where they are here if a team wants to aggress like Aguita. But, you know, for the moment, this will keep them preoccupied, keeping them away from, you know, the main fight as the rest of the teams now kind of trying and find a position. But it's these eastern teams really we're looking at here to see if they can get themselves in. BT taking casualties. That's Skyline who've been sort of on the peripheries of this zone here. Shane very isolated. Trixie and White doing all they can. Put that nade in. That could be nice actually. Goes a little bit too far. Going to try and prep another one, but they need the help from the rest of the Skyline boys from the South Hill.
Yeah, they certainly do. You know, can't just leave 2 people to try and deal with a full 4 team. But it doesn't matter because White's actually gone down. It's just going to be Trixie left up. And now with the numbers advantage on the Skyline, it looks like they should be pretty good there. And there we go, Skylinks from up on the hillside. Actually, no, sorry, he's the player that's... Yeah, he is up. He's really far away. So I was looking at Sticks thinking he was the one that got the kill, but no, Skylinks going to be able to pick that one up, and that's going to be BT going out, you know, relatively early in this one. But you got to remember, they haven't been playing with these teams for the last little while, whereas all these teams have had an extra 8 games with each other. So, yeah, it's going to take a little while to adjust, but yeah, definitely still plenty of time for them to be able to push up towards the top. We know they can have big games, and I'm sure we'll be seeing that from them at some point in this event.
Yeah, K7, we're going straight back over to this fight because they've found one. It's all on Pepeyuji now. He's putting some util down here. K7 don't need to aggress on this. You can see them obviously just blocking up this entrance way a little bit, just making sure the push can't come out. We can just see through that. Of course, don't have quite an X-ray, but you know, it would be stupid of them really to push down here. You think they'll just wait this out because they don't need to worry about one member down in the tunnel just yet.
No, exactly. I think they're more than happy to try and push down onto this one, though. It looks like they want to just try and get the kill to deal with this member early. They don't want to just leave him sat there down below them. And yeah, he's going to try and push himself in there. Or Qdex going to be leading the way there. He's going to be able to find one. Goes to the drop shot, and there we go. It's actually going to be Kizza that picks up that kill. And that's going to be K7 picking up that nice and quickly there. As we see elsewhere on the map, WC have pushed right in towards CoR. Ollie, unfortunately, losing his life in the process. But the rest of WC continue to rain shots. The problem is Skyline also getting into position. So are EXH, all of the teams now surrounding CoR's position. It's not really great for them. Just Gav and Howard, the last 2 remaining here. Yeah, although they had the numbers advantage initially against WC, they've done really well to level it up. But elsewhere on the map, Skyline EU, 3 members of MW knocked. They are not letting up at all, and they're going to continue to rain down shots towards Mway as they try and see if they can pick up the final member here. And there we go, Shane with a headshot. Just very quickly dealt with, and that's going to be 5 kills already on Shane. 7 kills for Skyline EU, and they deal with another squad.
Yeah, it's great stuff from Skyline, and you know they've put up some really good work in the last couple of weeks, especially you know really growing into the team and how they play with each other. And yeah, they are looking really good. 7 kills on the board already. 11 teams still up. A lot of places up for grabs, a lot of points up for grabs here. Just go down south because Dubhub, you mentioned, they were walking in. They're going to find Q out the vehicle as well. Jimbo's going to try and drive the other way. Takes a few tags. They're going to find one, their first kill. But it's Dig who's going to pipe up in the backlines. They haven't had to move too much this game at all. And now they are going to try and punish Dubhub here. Entels goes down. The rest of the boys have their work cut out, playing outside a zone. No vehicles to use either here.
No, exactly. It's not looking great for Dub Hub. I mean, the fact that they managed to push in and maybe pick themselves up a kill was, you know, not too bad, especially seeing as their position. They were the only team on the south side. It was very congested down towards that bridge area for them to be able to get across, but they're doing a very good job of trying to stay alive. Unfortunately, Intel's is going to go down. Mingo now confined pretty much to this tree. They are going to be chunking as well, but Marco actually gets himself an angle. EXH just having an angle on all of these teams coming around on this side. They do manage to find another member, and that's going to be Dub Hub down to just 2 members now. EXH, you know, doing what they do best, third-partying on these fights, just taking fights from range, and 3 kills on the board, despite the fact they lost Chet Bents very early. They managed to get this compound off of TSS after they pushed down towards Cube, and now they're in a really nice position here. Try and continue to just pick up points as they're pressuring all of these teams down in towards the south.
Yeah, and this is where EXH's hill really comes into play. You know, when you can have this angle saying that Marco is in the compound, so he's going to prove me wrong completely. But, you know, that kill does offer so much. But let's go around the north, because these teams are congesting once again. It's Skyline and F2S, who we haven't seen anything from so far, are going to find Skylink straight away. 1 kill going Koyumi's way. But Styx has the angle from the north. He's getting peppered in the backlines as well. Kaneki's going to find him. The third party is imminent, and it is coming into effect here. Beta has so much work to do now. Half health himself, so it's going to be very tricky indeed here.
Yeah, it really is. It's not going to be easy for any of these teams up towards the north, as R&V actually in a position to just try and punish all of these as well, as they're not in the best of compounds normally, as it is far down in the dip, but actually everyone's sort of running to them, giving them line of sight, and they're just peppering shots all over the zone. Kagui is going to go down to the zone. Tweak going to pick up another kill on towards Traves as well, so lots of these teams being able to do the damage and pick up the kills as they get given to them. As all these teams having to push in here. It's not the nicest of zones, pretty much. If you haven't got a position already in the zone, you are exposed to about 3 or 4 different teams at this moment in time. So GT, I'm surprised they managed to keep 3 alive here up in the north, because they're really not in a great spot. They've got themselves a little ridge though, deploying all the smokes, trying to get into those vehicles to get away from this. I think they might be lucky, but I don't know where they're going to send it to, because there's not a lot left in this zone.
There's not at all. RMV moved so early on this. The compound just about inside. Dig the only other team in here. I wonder if they're going to look to try and get across the road early on, or maybe play into K7's position. But it's going to be GT sending it through these teams. We've seen this before from Walsh. I remember a similar game where they lost it here on the send, but it looks like they're going to actually do this really well. CoR and EXH are caught out. They're taking on each other. Dig looking to rotate, but maybe a little bit too late. And I think GT, the 3 members, are going to get across here safely and get inside here.
Yeah, it looks like they're actually been able to find themselves a decent position. They're
Has Wizzy not heard this?
Just for it. I think Wizzy just put straight in on towards the 3-man. He's going to be able to find one, and might be able to get a flush as well. Jamie K going to go down. It's just going to be Townie and Kaneki now for GT. The rest of Dig now coming over to support, and GT, they've kind of split up. They went as a 3, and now they managed to get the knock onto Washed, but he managed to get Kaneki down before he goes, and it's just going to be Townie now. It looked like they were in a really nice position here, straight in, but not going to be great as we lose CoR in the lobby. That's 7th place for them. They do pick up a placement point, but definitely at the start they'd be wanting, and somehow Townie has just chill here behind this car, but the rest of Dig are on their way, and I think they're going to be able to get the res up on towards Washed as well, and that's going to be a 4-man team that Townie's going to have to try and contest.
And he's gone for the car play. I'm not too sure if that's what he meant, but he is going to find Wizzy. But he has to get this off quick, because Dig are popping around the side. The util's going to come out. I think that, no, it's just a little bit too far. They just can't seem to hit him. He finds another one. Kizza actually pops up and finds that. And finally, Dig get the job done. And already K7 are looming. They smell blood in the water. And Kizza is already looking down this way, wanting to get involved. These reses have to be quick as well. Wash playing outside the compound. Needs to get in as quickly as he can. He's done so much damage, though, in return to Kizza. Takes him down to 8 HP. He's going to get the med off, but it's just pushing K7 back. And I think Dig are going to live to see another day as a 4-man for the moment.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's Dig going to be able to get themselves back up again, and it's 4v3. So pretty much, as we said, you know, if you haven't got a position in the zone, you're going to really struggle. RMV, EXH, you know, Dig and K7, pretty much with, you know, with the only real playable positions in this zone currently. But this next zone shift is going to determine everything, and it's going to go, of course, it's going to go to K7, and now they're looking like they should be able to come away with this game. Absolutely no problem, but yeah, Dig, you know, they are in the zone, they are okay, but they are going to have EXH to deal with. You've got the Madden, they're going to wrap round on this side. K7 is going to sideline all of this as well as it goes on. RMV just need to try and pick up as many points as they can. Maybe try and crash on towards K7 and allow, try and see if they can deal with a couple of their members. But that's the only real hope that any of these teams down in the south have actually got of being able to potentially come away with a win here. But the fact that Kizzen's gone up there to support the rest of K7 might actually allow, Dig to push up there if they wanted to. But I don't think they're going to leave this position. I think it's too good for the moment. And they're not going to be thinking, let's go and get a better position. They're going to think, we can just hold here. I think that's exactly what they're going to try and do.
Yeah, I think this is smart from RMV because they've got this opening knock. EXH and Dig are going to be preoccupied in the south. RMV want to get this. If you get QDex out, that is a massive boost. The nades are going to go up and over, but it might be a little bit too late. That Rez has hit the tree and just come back. Unfortunately, Marco does find one. QDex back on his feet. You saw the smoke all coming out as soon as that. Tyro knows this push is coming. Kizza found at the top of the hill. That will slow him down a little bit more. Anto just keeps firing. He wants to get this done. He does not want to go for the Rez just yet. Tyro through the smoke. Nothing connecting, unfortunately, there. Until coming back this way, though. And QDex is now back. He's lost his helmet. He's in a strong position now as Tyro finds JB.
Yeah, certainly does. Kids are almost bleeding out there, but I think just going to be able to carry over that ridgeline. But the problem is Dig. They've finished their fight with EXH, and now they want to get hungry on this. They're pushing themselves right towards the centre of the zone. So whatever happens with this fight, you feel like Dig might be in a position to be able to third party this. Kids are currently getting rezzed here. JB going to be attempting to get rezzed as well in that smoke there, but he is chunking, and Benems knows that he hasn't got the position to be able to do so. RMV, unfortunately, going to lose one, but Takashi, big nade there on towards Tyro. We have to find him. QDex trying to hold on to this position as long as he can, and that's exactly why Takashi enters the box now. Kazoo, he's going to come in with the third party. Wizzy's going to find Anto as well, and they're cleaning up here. RMV going to fall. Kazoo picking that one up, and it's just going to be down to Kizza and QDex to try and see if they can get these revives on towards the two members of the fallen K7. And I think they might be able to get both of them, and that's going to be a full 4 K7 now up against a 4-4 Dig.
Yeah, these rezzes came off so quick. The 2-2 paying off for K7, but they need to try and regroup quickly. Wash comes around the side, gonna find Kizza straight away again. Anto goes down as well. Spicy Bra and the rest of the boys pushing up now. Tyro down low. They've isolated themselves down in this kind of bunker area to the right. The util is coming out, but QDex and Tyro is a scary prospect. You can't overlook them for a second. The util just raining down into the smoke, just baiting the shots away from QDex here. He's still up in the north a little bit. There, Anto does go down. Sorry, Tyro down as well. Surely that's going to be it. It is. Dig, 15 kills. Massive, massive first game from them.
I mean, what a change of pace that was for Dig. I mean, we've saw them. I don't even think they got 20 points in the whole of last week. I mean, I'll double check that. I'll have a little look into it. But, I mean, just incredible play from them. Really played well. They were just in a position where they could third party. Yeah, they might have got the zone a little bit, but just really well played. They pushed at the right times. They managed to hold off the EXH push. Luckily, RMV, that fight between them and K7 delayed a little bit. It was very back and forth, and it allowed Dig to then be able to push up and actually finish off both of those teams and pick up extra kills for themselves. So, yeah, really well played there from Dig.
19 points they got in 8 games last week, and they've topped that already. Immediately, points on the board, and really well played. They didn't have an easy move in there. I think, you have to go back. We saw it a little bit on stream. They were split 2-2 across the river. 2 on that hillside where they then pushed down onto GT, 2 south, and just kind of banking on that shift. Potentially it worked out. They played very, very clever in their rotates there. They didn't have to go too far, but just biding their time and waiting for K7 to have to take their own fight, because they did. RMV, they can probably give a little bit of praise to them. I thought we were going to see RMV potentially backfill into EXH and just leave K7 on that hill themselves, but they're brave. They want that fight. Didn't unfortunately work out for them, but they disrupted the game and they disrupted K7's flow for sure.
Yeah, certainly did. Yeah, really, really well played there from Dig. I mean, absolutely no denying it. They definitely deserve that win. And they put themselves in a really good position to try and, keep going in this. Obviously, 7 games to go. It's a long, long way. It's a big, it's a long-running tournament. You've got to be thinking about, the long game, not just, we've got to win, let's sit back. They've got to keep going for that. So, yeah, great to see Dig picking up a win and finally, starting to find their feet in this one. And as you said, more points than got in all 8 games last week. So definitely a different Dig we're seeing here. And I can't wait to see how they perform in the rest of the games.
Well, let's see how they do. We're going to take a very short break and be back with a second Erangel in just a few seconds. welcome back to the CoR European Showdown. The final week, game number 2, we're going to be going in very shortly, but a very, very strong performance, as we mentioned, from Dig. 19 points they got in the whole of last week, already above that, 25 points. Really good start, of course. K7, I don't think they actually did too much in that game. You know, they had to... You know, the only real fight they had there was a Guita, which of course they picked up a couple of points there. Of course, 6 points for the second. Anyone will take that, especially at this stage. But I don't think they really got too much going otherwise. So, you know, it's going to keep it tight in that middle. And, you know, I say that it's a long way to go for sure. But, you know, a very good start from Dig.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a typical K7 game in the fact that they kind of rotated away from teams. They got themselves a nice entry into the zone. They didn't really have to fight anyone. But the problem is normally, or the problem for most other teams is normally in that situation, all the other teams are battered and K7 are a full 4, haven't had to take a fight, and they just clean up everyone. And that's where they get all their kills. The difference here was the zone didn't really allow for that. So all the broken teams pushing in were kind of already being taken up by all the other teams, and all the other teams were staying as strong. They were 4, or they were 3 in that final zone. And K7 obviously tried to take the fight on towards RMV. They pushed up there to try and do it, and Dig were able to sort of come in. They took out EXH, they pushed in, and they got the better position and were able to finish off K7. So yeah, okay, it was a standard game. I mean, I can't think that K7 are going to be disappointed too much in that. It was still a good point total.
Of course, yeah.
They're going to get their big games. We know what they're like. You know, we're not expecting zero stuff from them, but yeah, it's kind of, it didn't result in the end that K7 normally see. So maybe a few teams starting to realise how they can kind of counterplay that. We'll have to wait and see, but the plane is up in the air. We're going into game number 2, so we'll have to see whether Dig can do it again, or if K7 can maybe start to do a little bit better.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. A long way to go, and you know, this could be K7's plane. We don't want to talk about them completely, but of course, being the informed team at the moment, we are going to be monitoring them very closely. But a lot of teams out already. They're playing very low, just north of the military island. So you're expecting potentially something down in the south side. Maybe a Milta. We've seen a couple of those before. And, you know, the teams know how to play them very well. But teams out early once again. CoR, F2S, RMV look like they're going to be in prim. And this looks like it could be an alternate drop for a couple of these teams here. CoR and RMV are going to be spreading out along this F2S. Not going to be getting too involved. Of course, we did see QP in and around Quarry as well, but they're nowhere to be seen today. Of course, we do have BT filling in for them, and we're going to keep eyes on the BT M-Way situation as well here.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're going to have to keep an eye on everything, of course. And as you said, yeah, alternate drops coming out for a lot of these teams as the plane path is not the best, and it's definitely favouring this military island. I think, you know, a couple of teams changing things up. I don't think I've seen RMV over this position before. Ollie actually very disconnected from the rest of CoR, and it looks like he's actually going to be as a solo. RMV trying to push into his position straight away. He's going to be as that solo member up and towards the top, but he has got the shotgun in hand and definitely do a lot of damage when you've got that in your hands for sure, especially when you've got teams pushing in towards your position. Cashy pushing straight up, but no, BenM's going to come up and follow. You have to find Ollie, and that's going to be Ollie going down very early in this one. And I feel like maybe just a little bit of a missed game plan coming out from these teams. You know, they knew there was another team in here, but CoR just kind of, just leaving Ollie to himself over on that side. And now CoR going to be on the back foot here as they try and push in. And Gav actually going to run through his own molly, I think, and just put himself down to about half HP and has to hit that first aid and now take the fight with only 75% health. Is not the ideal situation. Kadosh finding Hara as well. Going to confirm that one, and CoR now down to just 2 members here. JB holding down towards the top of this building as Gav's going to try and push him with the shotgun here. He's heard him jump out. He knows exactly where he is. Does manage to find him there with the S12K. Lovely shots coming through, and that does kind of level things a little bit. Trey's going to have to find another one as well. Now we're down to a 2v2 situation.
Yeah, good stuff from CoR. They are bringing it back a little bit here. Kadosh certainly going to bleed out. Traves takes a lot of damage as well. Gav wrapping around the building here. Does respray the window a little bit, trying to get up the stairs if he can. Gav just doing all he can, hides in the little alcove bit to try and get a med off. We're seeing at BHE losing a couple of members as well. Larry goes down early on. We're going to stay with this for a second to Cashy with the shot. He doesn't have much to do from range. He needs the help of BenM, so he's preoccupied here, as we mentioned. He's just going to be holding the stairs, and he's going to find him. The shots coming out. The shotgun, the S12, do not write it off. Best shotgun in the game. You've heard it here first. And they are going to find one. It's all on to Cashy now to do something. Traves taken very low. They are bringing this back. 3 kills on the board. Shots come through, and Takashi does find him. He's going to get the flush, certainly onto Traves. No chance of the res there. 3 shots left. I don't know if he's got anything left in the M4. 23 rounds in a dream here. And Gav, I think, not gonna spot him moving away here, and both teams just taking massive chunks out of each other and really causing a detriment for this game here.
Yeah, exactly. You know, definitely not the situation that either of these teams want to find themselves in. It was pretty much every single one of those fights was taken down to a 1v1, and it's just when you're playing these team fights, you can't just put yourself down to those. You know, you've got to make sure you've got those 2v1s, try and get those trades flushed through the team members one by one. It looked like R&V were kind of starting off with that. They took the 2 against Ollie and managed to come away with it, but the problem is they then just split up, fanned out. They thought they had the advantage, and CoR just being able to level things up a little bit. And now Takashi going to have to continue off as a solo, same as Gav in this one. The zone as well, also going up towards the north, so not what any of these teams expected. I think everyone was banking on that south shift, and maybe K7's luck kind of going down a little bit. Maybe they're not going to be quite getting so lucky, and going to start having these teams actually contesting with them and not allow them to just run away with things, which is going to keep things interesting for sure, especially for us as we look at these leaderboards. But yeah, you know, it's not the best start for a few of these teams, as tensions starting to rise a little bit high as everyone starts contesting with each other, especially when it gets to these horrible playing paths.
Yeah, I'm sure we will see K7 make it in at some point. South Pachiki Hill, I'm calling it now. One team I do want to touch on, actually, Skyline, having a decent kill game in that previous one, being on the hillside. Finally, they have school and apps to themselves. They don't have to contest with anyone. It feels like all the way through these quals, they have just had team after team been in and around this area, just occupying north, occupying south. It's good to see that they've made their way up here as well, because you don't want to let off the gas. Of course, I don't know if they floated here or whether they drove up here, but you know, finally they do have the place to themselves and are set up very nicely in this zone now.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely a few teams that are going to be pretty happy with this zone. Skyline EU being one of them. Actually, I kind of want to touch on Skyline EU a little bit, because I was looking at some of the stats, looking at some, looking through back some of the rest of the event, ready to prepare myself for this one, and I had a look. 55 games we've now played, including the first one of this one, and only one team has played every single one of them, and that is going to be Skyline EU, coming from the open qualifiers, winning that, not winning the upper bracket, coming through in lower bracket,
of course, yeah.
and now playing all the finals. They're the only team that's played every single game that has been possible to them in this event so far. And, you know, we saw some good things coming up from them in the last event, so maybe all of that playtime has, you know, paid off. It's helped them out a little bit in understanding some of these teams, and I'm sure once we get an updated leaderboard, we're going to be able to see exactly how that has paid off and see if they have managed to get themselves some decent points in that one, because I remember seeing at least 7 or 8 kills on them and a couple of placement points as well.
Yeah, that's how you get your money's worth in our events. Do well, struggle through, do well, struggle through. Actually, just go down south straight away. We're already seeing a bit of action. You mentioned them, maybe you've jinxed them, or maybe you've been trying to jinx them, but K7 do lose one straight away. Tyro is just going to back off in the vehicle. Qdex and Kizza a little bit disconnected. Lizard's gone across the bridge actually already, could be waiting them out here, and I think K7 maybe recognising the trap here, although the other members have pulled up, so I thought maybe they'd opt for the east bridge, but they do seem to like this western bridge, as do Aguita, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely a light spot for both of these teams, and Aguita just hanging on long enough has kind of caused some problems for K7 in their rotate. And yeah, Aguita coming off from losing a couple of members early in the last game are going to be able to pick up an early kill for themselves this time, and I think they'll be pretty happy with the fact that that has gone that way for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The rest of the teams now making their way into Kashi and Gav, still occupying Prim. We can pretty much write them off for this game. I'm sure they'll find a position in this zone at some point, but I can't imagine they'll be doing too much more. TSS have moved straight out Pachinki. Our Pachinki team for pretty much all of the qualifiers, going all the way back as well. We've seen them. Of course, they did qualify convincingly in the upper bracket and deserving of a place for an invite next time for sure. The way they've been playing, if they do keep this team together, of course, a newly formed team, if you like. You know, we know these players. We know they've been around. They're seasoned players, but newly formed roster and tag. But for the moment, they've just pulled out a little bit, leaving Q in Pachinki, maybe just to get a bit more loot, because they've moved out so quickly to these Eastern Sushi buildings. And, you know, sometimes you find yourself isolated. I think RMV were victim to that the last game. We saw a couple of 3Xs on your DMRs. They didn't really have too much loot to work with, but they set themselves up in that position to, you know, farm kills towards the late game. And I think this is one of those positions where you can do that if you get the shifts.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's definitely, you know, something that you know, you can kind of do when you're in this situation. You know, you've got lots of time on your hands, and yeah, just leaving someone to be able to pick up that extra loot, it definitely helps you out there for sure. And yeah, you know, as you said, you know, a well-known well-known team, kind of a couple of new additions for the EU side of things, and yeah, been performing very well so far. Actually, overall, they do put themselves up in towards second as well with that game in terms of overall points. Of course, we're looking mainly at week number 2 now, which yeah, they got themselves a few kills on the board, not too much. Obviously, we did see them lose a couple of casualties early, meant they couldn't really do too much more in the rest of the game, but yeah, they have got themselves a decent, you know, a decent start to this one, and then keep adding to that overall total to hopefully get themselves picking up that extra bonus prize for the overall score.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and you know, those points will go a long way in the grand scheme of things here. We're seeing a lot of teams though in this kind of eastern area along this hillside. MWay have moved quickly. WC jumped ahead of them. We can see all 4 up for this game. That will help them a lot. EXH gone for a nice little spread again. What do you make of this here? Because I want to highlight Bentz's position more than anything. I don't know if this is
yeah, I'm just trying to find them on the map.
Self-inflicted? No, he is moving around, so it's not a lag up by any means. Just playing down on this roadside.
Yeah.
Maybe scout and rotates a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it is very split, and I feel like this is kind of some of the issues that EXH have is the fact that they either have a really good game or a bad game. We kind of mentioned it a lot before in the past, but the problem is some of their bad games comes from self-inflicted issues where they just split themselves up. They can't get the firepower as one. They lose a couple of members, and it just really does, you know, cause them problems. You saw it. Czech Bents went down early in the last game. Okay, yeah, they managed to pick up a few kills with other teams rotating around, but as soon as they had to take a 4v4 fight, I know they were in a bad position in terms of having to push in, but they were on the back foot in terms of position and numbers and just couldn't do anything about it. Maybe if they had 4, they had more of a chance there, pushing in towards Dig. But yeah, kind of, they do need to make sure they're trying to be 4 strong. That is kind of where problems do arise for them. Looks like Ghost going for a crate here as well on towards Scrapyard. He's going to find Walshy doing the same thing here. Ghost going to be able to come away with that AUG. Going to pick that up, and the nice 3 gear to go alongside that as well. And of course, Walshy just going to be left to his own devices here. Townie not going to want to push into there. I'm seeing a VSS on him as well, so definitely not Townie's normal weapon of choice. So I'm assuming that's just down to bad loot or not being able to get too much more from that. But yeah, that is going to be Torch coming out with a nice early kill, which is, you know, they didn't get too much in the game number 1. Obviously getting dismantled a little bit by, that's going to be Gav going down to the zone. So maybe not quite being able to find enough meds there in Prim, or something happened. I'm not quite sure, but it's going to be our first team falling. Yeah, Torch not picking up too many points in the last game after taking that fight with TSS, so they'll be looking to try and come back here. That's a nice start for them. Picking up that nice early kill and a nice knock on towards Jamie K as well from GT to give Torch, should be their 2nd kill of the game so far. The rest of GT just going to have to just leave there as a 2 and a duo for the rest of the game.
You're looking at GT rotating away here. Kaneki and Townie, their positioning very questionable there. Jamie Ken as well. I think one of those. I feel like GT will be their own worst critics. You know, they'll say exactly the same as I'm sure we're saying. Like, what are they doing in these situations? Walshy, of course, got unlucky with that crate there. You can't fault that. But, you know, the send on his own, recognising that this is a high priority area where you do see teams like WC, you know, they could easily have been set up there. EXH could have easily caught them out as well. They've, of course, now regrouped. But, you know, I feel like we're seeing a bit of a divide in some of these teams. And I hope GT won't mind me saying this, because, you know, they were one of the teams who scraped through at certain points in the event as well. You know, they were very close to not making it through earlier on. You know, one of the early stages when we had a lot more teams of a lower level in. And I think it's same with EXH, BHE, a few of these teams where they seem to get split up and the communication just doesn't seem to be there. And in these lobbies, you just can't afford to make these. And I think, you know, with all respect to the other teams, GT, very, very strong players. You know, individually, they can hold their own, they can win their fights, which is, I think, maybe why we're not highlighting this as much, because, you know, they are putting kills up, they are doing that a little bit better than some of these teams. But, you know, when it gets to this stage, you aren't going to be pushing for those money brackets when you split like that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you've got to make sure that you do stay as a team and try and stick together. And as you said, some of these teams are kind of having a few little problems. Maybe, in cohesion in terms of the teams, or maybe just not being able to execute. And sometimes it just comes down to players not fitting with each other, not having the same play styles. It kind of, you know, can cause a bit of friction in the team, and sometimes that is kind of where the problems lie. You know, not every team is going to play exactly the same as the other. We've seen it, you know, K7, very methodical, like to go for those big rotates, whereas you look at a team like, I don't know, like TSS, maybe even Skyline EU in there, love to fight on the edges, love to try and push their way in, get themselves high kills, and that's not K7 style. But if you're, you know, if you are one of those aggressive players and you're playing on K7, you're going to struggle a little bit. You're not going to fit in with the team. It's not going to be what you want to do, and you're going to feel like, you know, you're going to start wandering off on your own and end up getting killed, and that then spoils the rest of the team's game plan. So it's definitely something that can cause some problems. Neither. Well, I mean, I want to say neither method is the right way, but I mean, K7 kind of making that a little bit difficult to make a statement on that one. So they seem to be winning everything at the moment, but you know, yeah, teams can definitely win either way. It's no right or wrong necessarily, but yeah, it definitely depends on how the rest of the team play. Depends on how well you work as a team, and make sure you can execute that play style that you want to play as a team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you think about some of these players probably looking for call-ups as well. You know, they want to be in that team. They don't want to be a bit of a makeshift team before events. Not saying that any of these teams are, but you want to have that consistent roster. You want to be playing in the best team you can. And if teams do show up and, you know, in these kind of free agent teams, I don't want to say free agent because that's not what we have here, but, you know, these kind of makeshift teams a little bit with a makeshift roster. If you're doing there and you're not performing, you aren't going to get recognised. You're not going to get, you know the plaudits. Even if you are, you know, doing loads of damage, getting loads of kills, you've got to be playing so consistently and so strong. But you've got to be, you know, working on the cohesion more than anything, because that's what players are looking for. That's what teams want.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's all about, you know, making sure that you do stand out if you are looking for that call up to a bigger team, or, you know, a team that has been more successful as such. But, you know, it is nice to see some of these teams starting to gel, and, you know, maybe not has no names a while ago, like none of the players potentially on the team being that well known, and now all of a sudden coming through. BT, I don't know what's happened there. Maybe lost a tire on the bike or something, and they're going to spin out. I think they should be able to get the reses on both of those players, but that's just going to really slow them down here, and they're right next to a Guita as well, so need to be a little bit wary that they don't come through and cause them any problems here. I'm trying to look around. I can't see a bike, but I'm assuming that's got to be what that was. There's yeah, 2 dying from falling in the middle of the open. It's normally a bike.
It's usually a bike, yeah, you can pretty much assume that. We're seeing a lot of engagement on this side, though, by BT. Looks like Guita have turned their attention that way, actually, as BT now, I think, just going to get away with it. But we're seeing M-Way really struggling to get out here. Dubhub and WC both looking this way. Benzo, I don't think any chance of the rest. Pepe Yuji making his way over as well. Dubhub going to steal that away. I think WC did get the initial knock. Bonka and that are pulling off this south side hill a little bit. They have time to work with as well. They have a position in the zone. We're seeing TSS, actually. I want to go over to this just for a second. They are pushing K7 as a 3-man in this position. They're prepping the nades, going to get these through the windows, and this house is tiny. The first one does come off. Kudex taken down to half as well, or just even under that. More nades trying to find these angles. Tyro takes so much damage. Kudex found as well. One more will do it. Is he going to spot? Surely that's going to be it. And TSS. Oh, K7 didn't even fire a shot there. I'm not too sure quite what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, you know, I saw a rotate from K7 coming into that position earlier on. I was like, oh, I mean, they've done really well to be able to find that location. But the problem is TSS also able to make the same sort of rotate, push straight up onto that house, and that house is so hard to hold as, you know, as any members of the team, you know, especially as a 3. You know, playing outside, you can't really do freely. You've normally got people up on the hillside. I mean, they didn't have that, but TSS was able to cover all the angles and allow K7 to kind of get caught into towards that building, and couldn't get out from it, unfortunately. Going over towards the other side of the zone, though, on towards the east, there are so many teams fighting around on this bit. Seeing EXH already picking up one from 2 different teams, Dubhub and WC losing a member here, but Mac is able to get the return there on towards Tweak, so they're fighting back. They're trying to do what they possibly can. Yeah, it's looking like a lot of these teams will lose casualties if they're not careful here. Mingo just got to be led to bleed out here. M-Way trying to make their way in as well as Lizard finds them. That's Guita getting involved around here as well. And all of these teams trying to see what they can possibly pick up, but they've just got to be watching every single angle around them, because it's not going to be easy for them to be able to make their way in here. As WC, yeah, they've got the high ground, but Spencer gets found there by Pepe Yuji, and now all of a sudden WC having to fight back 2 different teams as they try and push up at the same time.
2 different teams, make that about 6 different teams. We see BT, TSS, Torch want to get involved. EXH are going to compile into this as well. We could be down to about five teams in a matter of seconds here. This is just absolute carnage. WC trying to get the kills on the board. I know they probably recognise that there's going to be teams swarming around here. They need to try and get this job done quickly. Same for all these teams. Luckily for them, Agueta and Dubhub are still scrapping. Benz comes around as well. He wants to get involved. TSS have turned their attention towards BT a little bit, as well as Dubhub are going to be the first team from this to drop out here. But Benz knows that there's players behind him as well. And now Torch are trying to swarm. Merc pops up, finds one straight away. They've got 4 kills on the board as well. Runs straight into Bonkai. He's going to get the return onto him. But so much damage done to him as well.
Yeah, exactly. Spencer going to try and get the return of fire here, but Dynamics actually falls as well. Merc probably going to be bleeding out here. I don't think the rest of the team are going to be able to get the res, so unfortunately Torch do lose 1, but they've done very well to be able to pick up a few extra points in this one. And Ghost gets taken down very low as well. And now WC with 3 revives left to get. I don't know whether Spencer's going to be able to find it over here to be able to get it. Maybe for this one or not. Hurry up because you've got Aguita pushing in the back line. Spencer turns on a dime, finds Tritune. And now Torch, they're going to want to try and get even more aggressive on this, you can tell, because they're trying to pick up as many points as they possibly can. They know they've lost 1 now, and they need to get aggressive when they possibly can. They know they've got that advantage when they've got that edge. Spencer trying to continue to wrap in here down on the low ground. He's going to push himself up here to try to see if he can find some Torch here, and he is going to spot Fizz. Gets him down, and that's going to be Fizz taken out of this one as well. Kaomi trying to push up here, trying to get the support, but I think the spray going to come out. Spencer, huge plays coming out from this man, and he's being able to find 2. He's just got Ghost left up, but Polly in the back lines is going to find that one, and Torch, I think, might be able to get all the revives here, but TSS, they're hungry. They're pushing around on this, trying to see what they can find, but little do they know, Aguita and BT still got solos lurking around here.
Yeah, bear with me 2 seconds. Keep this going.
Okay. I will keep going. So, Skyline, are you in the compound as well as they take the fight up on towards Dig? But Wizzy and F2S finishing off Skyline. Dig, I don't know what they've eaten for breakfast, but they are really coming out to play here. Another 2 kills on the board, and they've still got 4 up. They take out another team, and they're in a decent position here. Grigui, the solo across the zone, or across the other side of the road. He's going to be the only person that could potentially cause them some problems. And with the zone shift as well going Dig's way, this could be another big game from them. TSS, so they're still trying to get aggressive here on towards this fight here. BT going to go down. That's Q being able to find that one. Lizard still just hiding in the blue, trying to see if he can maybe be forgotten about as TSS do end up backing off from this one. Maybe just saving Lizard's life for a little while longer. He's managed to make himself into placement points at least, so that's going to be bonus points from this point onwards. But the problem is he's got a long way to go to get himself in towards zone.
He does indeed. Apologies for that. I'm now back. But here we go. Yes, we are down to our top 8 teams. A few solos on the board. We saw a similar zone for this at the end of PCL. Of course, no ATR to take all the points. GT still alive and kicking. We mentioned them earlier. Hanging on in apps. BHE still 3-man. Of course, losing Larry early. We see him crying in chat. BHE in bracket. Oh, there you go. BHE played every game as well.
There we go. I missed that one. That's my bad. I mean, I guess I just saw how dominant they were in the qualifiers. Assume they got through upper bracket. But yeah, okay, you're right. There's 2 teams then that managed to make it all the way through. Both going into the lower bracket, and that was going to be BHE and Skyline. So I am corrected there. Thank you, Larry, for pointing that one out there. Takashi, though, he's going to still be up here in towards the middle of the zone. We remember him from earlier. Yeah, he was the guy that, you know, left Prim. Took it down to a 1v1 up against CoR and decided to get himself into zone. He's got himself some extra points from it. Yeah, okay, he didn't manage to get the kill on towards Gav, but he's got himself at least a placement point, and if he can just hold out for a little while longer, which is looking pretty likely as teams are going to struggle to push over towards this position, he might actually find himself another 2, 3, 4 points, which could be all the difference later on in the game. Grigui finally being found there. Gazoo has Dig pushing across towards this side of the road, and once again they've done it, not lost any members, and they are in such a good spot right now. The problem is they're down in the valley, so not going to be in a position to maybe pick up too many kills, but with that zone shift, they are looking really good for this one. BHE as well, they're going to be able to use the high ground up towards the school area as well. You can see Nata already utilizing that with the DMRs to try and take shots across the zone, and now with all these teams having to push themselves into potentially an area that can be spotted from school, it might be easy points here for BHE to just be able to pick up They just keep peppering shots down across the zone. Kaneki is going to fall down towards zone as Towney, last remaining member for GT. No kills on the board for them. But with only the VSS in hand as well, it's not looking like they're going to get too much more in this one. But they do manage to at least get into 6th place and get themselves that placement point, extra point bonus. And at least it's not a 0-point game from them. But still, we're not seeing the big firepower we're used to seeing from GT.
We're not, and yeah, this is going to be tricky for all these teams. Towney is out trying to find something. TSS going to be the first team to try and come down the hill. They've got the longest way to go here. You've got to be careful of Takashi here because he knows there's a team above him. You know, if he can find a point off this, he's going to be hungry for that. He's going to go for that thirst straight away as we see Towney do go down there. But yeah, Torch now, I assume, will want to be turning their attention behind them because this is where you're likely to get the points. Don't worry about BHE. They're in cover. You're not going to be able to get those thirsts. Focus on TSS. We're going to keep eyes with Takashi, see if he can spot Q coming down the hill. The util out already. Looks like TSS just going to be smoking their way down, potentially Q. He hasn't heard him, actually. And she's a nice drop. And now Takashi's just made himself known to the Dig boys as well. They've got to be careful. I think Dig looking the wrong way, actually. They're just repositioning themselves, but you've got to be careful here. And it looks like it could be TSS versus Torch here as Q has made his way all the way down. I think pretty much unheard.
Yeah, exactly. Torch maybe not aware of his position here, but they would have heard the footsteps there as he just gets towards the other side of the barn. Hughes is running down, but he does manage to find Kaomi. Fizz, though, is there to get the return as he comes up, and he does manage to get the knock there on towards Q. They're going to get that thirst, but the nades are flying through, not being able to land there. Ghost being able to find Jimbo. Polly gets found as well by Wizzy. Torch doing really well to hold on to this position. I think they might be able to get the res on towards Kaomi, but no, Linker's going to be able to find Ghost there, so it's going to be just down to Fizz. He's in the smoke, though. Might be able to get some of these revives, but Kaomi is going to bleed out and actually choosing to go for Ghost instead of Kaomi. I think they maybe have been able to get both of them if Kaomi has been rezzed first, but unfortunately it doesn't look like that is the case. And that's going to fight themselves out here. I'm going to be able to find Linker. Takashi finally getting found, but that's 4th, so he got himself at least 4 points just from rotating away from that one. And yeah, clearly worked out for them. We're seeing all the annihilations come through as we saw so many teams go down. We're already down to our top 3 teams just like that. It's going to be Torch down to just 2 members. Dig once again in a really nice position, and BHE going to be in school as they can just pepper shots down towards Torch up on that hillside. And actually, with the fact that OG has separated himself away and got himself across the other side of the road, I think that's a really smart play there from BHE. Yes, okay, you've left a solo member on their own, but they can feed all the information, and they've also got a player to anchor if they have to cross. Fortunately for them, though, BHE going to be blessed with this one a little bit. They are going to have to leave school, but they're not going to have to leave it very far, so they can potentially push down and play this ridge line. Dig going to have to move out as well, but they can also play it late, so it's all down to what Torch can do here. And it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get too much more from this one, unless, of course, they play an absolute blinder.
Yeah, and OG here has to be really careful. His primary focus has to be on Torch. We can see Fizz getting in the vehicles, Ghost a little way behind him as well, just trying to reposition them a little bit. Dig can move onto that kind of hillside area, so they have a bit of cover to work with the edge of the compound in play as well here. But yeah, OG just has to focus on Torch. Don't worry about Dig. You can deal with them after this fight is dealt with. Leave the rest of your team to do this. And here comes the car. He's taking a lot of casualties already. He's going to find one. He's going to try and get that out as quick as he can.
Yeah, OG actually being able to steal that one away on towards Fizz, and he has made himself known to Ghost. He has to park up there and get the kill. He does. Ghost goes down, and OG being able to pick up 2 extra points and the extra placement point as well is great for BHE here. 2 kills on the board now for them. That's all they've been able to find so far in this game, but Dig once again looking like they might be able to come away with the win here. As they do. Let's see what happens here.
BHE trying to get the car out here. It's Austin Powers. What are they doing? Oh, they're going to risk it. I think Zen's surely going to go to zone here. I don't think he's going to get it off, and that is tragic for BHE. That is a Philic in the shed moment there. That is so unlucky for BHE, but Nata just sending it straight towards Wizzy, and all of a sudden it's a 4 versus 1.
Yeah, exactly. Just like that. Dig win once again. Not as many kills as last time. Only 6 kills on the board, but it's another 16 points. And I don't know what has got into Dig today, but they are absolutely dominating so far in this event, and they are pulling out quite a sizable lead.
Yeah, really good stuff, and they'll be absolutely buzzing over that. 2 Aaron Girls, 2 wins to start things off. BHE, I don't want to criticise them because it was a tricky place to play out. Obviously didn't have the intel on that. They couldn't get through that gap, unfortunately losing one OG, you know, I was going to be the first to criticise him there, but actually paid off really well, got himself, you know, as you mentioned, a couple of points and the placement. So, yeah, that will go a long way for sure. But 2 kills on the board for them. It wasn't a big win for Dig, 6 kills, but 16 points, as you mentioned, is big. And they'll be buzzing after that.
Exactly, it certainly is. And yeah, obviously we're going over to Miramar next. So I don't know whether they're an Erangel team and maybe struggling at Miramar, but I mean, you can't take it away from them. Absolutely huge games coming out for them so far, and yeah, really great to see. I can't wait to see how they do perform on the sandy dunes.
Let's give it a couple of minutes and we'll be back with those games. And welcome back to the CoR European Showdown. We are going to go into game number 3 in just a moment. Apologies for the short delay, just getting all the teams back in the lobby. No 10-minute breaks here. We are trying to get in as quickly as we can, try and get these games through. Of course, only 4 games today, 4 games tomorrow for these teams to do well. We can probably get the leaderboard up. We should have game 1 on there, probably just waiting for game number 2. Unfortunately, we can get a bit of a look at where teams are standing. K7 did pick up 13 points in that first game, but Dig, as we mentioned, still are leaders, and they are going to be on top. Another 16 points going their way, so 41 points in 2 games is massive. Two wins is massive as it is, but yeah, big start from them here.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at week 1, right? Just to put it in like perspective. 41 points is the same as 9th place after 8 games, and they've played 2. So if they can just keep getting points, I mean, I'm not expecting it wouldn't matter which team is doing it. I wouldn't expect anyone to be able to keep picking up wins every game. That would be insane. But if they can have another couple of big games and get some consistent points, top 3 last time was 61 points. They're over halfway there in 2 games. So yeah, definitely a chance they can make the money this time.
Let's see if they can do it on Miramar, because it looks like they could be scrapping early. Dubhub and Dig out, and I think Dig actually might have spotted them. They're going to pull away a little bit straight away. Agueta going down Cruz de Val Skyline, going to be doing their usual drop. And this plane, we can talk about this, it is pretty nice for most of these teams. Impala going to be a bit of a stretch. The Bowl lost the owners, a bit of a stretch as well. El Pozo for BHE could be a bit of a stretch, but apart from that, everyone should be in and around the same areas. Yeah, we're looking at Dig. We're going to keep eyes on Spicy Bra just for a second straight away. He's going to drive away, going to steal the vehicle actually from Dubhub, and that could be a little bit detrimental to them. Actually, no, they've got enough vehicles. They won't be too worried, but yeah, Dig, I like this, just getting away from the action immediately.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they left 2 to get some vehicles. They left 2 just leaving straight away. They're going to grab all of the vehicles along that road as well. Be in a really good position, and they can get themselves some loot and get themselves sorted nice and early, which is always kind of what you want when you are, if you don't like fighting off rip, then don't fight off rip. It's definitely the right strat. I can see the leaderboard has updated though, so while we haven't got too much going on in terms of teams contesting, we can have a little look at that. And we're seeing Torch jumping right the way up into 2nd place, but of course Dig leading the way there, 20 placement points after 2 games, the maximum they could possibly get, which is huge performance. And I mean, we've got to kind of look down towards the bottom of the table as well. BT, unfortunately, not being able to pick up a point just yet, but they're the underdogs in this one. Let's face it, they weren't the ones to qualify. They've come back after all these teams have already played 2 days with each other, and yeah, it was always going to be a challenge for them to fit in, but I definitely think we could see a big game from BT at some point today still.
Yeah, they've definitely got it in them, doing the old crank splitter. I love to see this. A bit cranks in them, cranks in the blood. Going to get themselves a nice little position to work from here. And the zone has shifted over to that western side, so it is going to favour them a little bit here. You wonder how far it is going to push. WC actually getting involved with MY. And MY, we can see them. Excuse me, I'm not even on the game. There we go. We can see WC did find a point off of MY here, and it's not been MY's day, unfortunately. They were down the bottom from last week as well, but deservedly in this lobby. You can't take anything away from any of these 16 teams. We criticise them. I'm here slagging off these players, berating their plays. I know I can't do it. I know a lot of players can't do it, and everyone is a fantastic player. In fact, I'm pretty sure you and I died to MY in squads yesterday. Not that means anything, because we are shocking, but
yeah, I mean that's not really a high accolade, unfortunately. But yeah, they are. Yeah, I think it was Berkey. She got both of us, which was well played from her. But yeah, unfortunately, MY not being able to quite come away on top. Their dynamics was just looting the compound right next to towards Desert there. So Dynamics going to be able to take that point, and that's a nice early point on the ball for WC, who had a decent first game, not being able to get too much going in the second game, unfortunately. So they do put themselves down towards the bottom half of the table, but plenty of time left in this one for sure for them to be able to come back and get some more points and climb their way back up again.
Yeah, for sure. TSS going to be one of the first teams to move into El Pozo. Got to split around that mountainside. I always I like to play these kind of zones. This is bearing in mind we do power grid as well. This is a good zone for that kind of area, but it does leave so much RNG into it. With the hills in play. Sometimes you'll be in prime spot, and all of a sudden we saw Dubhub at the top of the hill, which if you remember last week where Paulinho is now, all of a sudden it just pulls away and you're in the worst spot. And of course WC rightly winning that game just from the north there. So, you know, the high ground doesn't always guarantee you points and guarantee you placement here. So, you know, I wonder if these teams are going to be opting to kind of bunker down in the compounds in and around the middle, you know, in between CoR and TSS. Are we going to see these compounds being used? Of course, we saw RMV and CoR fight for these positions last week. So, you know, let's see how these teams want to play this.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's it's gonna depend on where these teams do decide to play. We did see, I think it was a zone. Was it last week in the finals or one of the qualifiers? I'm not quite sure, but it did end around this mountain. It did cause a lot of problems for teams because of that unplayable area. The hard shifts were coming through all over the place and just really threw some teams off. And the problem is, if you're not set up and you don't get the zone, it is so difficult to try and work your way in here. So hopefully we can see this happening. You know, some of these teams learning from those mistakes maybe and trying to get themselves into one of those more you know, better positions. I think we actually saw CoR play this position in that zone last time. Kind of got a little bit unlucky with the zone shift in that one, so maybe we'll be able to rewrite that. Dub Hub, I think we're also playing in a really good position actually on that hillside. We also saw Torch involved in that one as well, I believe, and also Guita as well, actually picking up quite a few points there from the Crater Field bowl. So yeah, definitely can see quite a few of these teams taking those similar spots, but you know, they might want to actually try and get a position that was a bit more successful from that game and learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, it is a learning curve for so many of these teams. I just want to highlight a little bit of something going on the map. We do see BT. Cocky actually flips his car as he's making his way in, and this could be a scary push indeed. Donny has just spotted the car upside down. He's going to spray down. He can't connect with that AUG. He's just found that on the crate there, which is just causing a bit of a magnet for some of these teams here. WC just going to keep rotating on. The dynamics with the sniper as well. Going for that snip. You see Enway in the gas station as well, and they're trying to surround him a little bit here. Donny has that 3 helmet, so he's got a bit of protection here, but it is kicking off already.
Yeah, so many teams trying to get involved in this one as WC continuing to rotate past. I don't know how Cocky managed to go there with his life. He was already down to half HP when he actually got very close to BT's compound, but yeah, unfortunately couldn't find any tags on him, and he is going to be able to carry on and get away from that one unscathed. Donny trying to regroup the rest of his team here as well as Milky Way. They're going to try and get involved and try and pepper some shots across the zone towards them as well. But yeah, I think BT should be absolutely fine. M-Way going to be able to regroup a little bit as well, and WC just having to bunker down here towards the compounds. I don't know whether they'd actually choose to take normally, but I think, you know, for now they're just going to see what the zone does, and I think that's kind of the way a lot of these teams play these Miramar zones. They don't want to over-rotate. They're happy sitting on the edge waiting for that sort of second, third zone shift when they kind of know where the zone's going to be, for them to then decide where they actually want to play and then either fight for it or, you know, just let it go. Just try and play a different position instead.
Speaking of edge plays, Dub Hub doing the edgiest play you've ever seen. Clearly have a drive 3,000 kilometers mission or something here, because they are going for the widest rotate I think I've ever seen. You know, you could not be rotating farther than this.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an odd one, isn't it? Because I don't think any team's going to be camping Oasis at this moment in time, and they probably could have rotated that way. But I guess the fact that maybe they realised that Dig were kind of down that road somewhere, they weren't sure, because Dig not normally one of the fastest teams to rotate, are they? So maybe just thinking we don't want to get caught out by them and going very far. But one team that has been caught out is going to be Torch, as Ghost gets found there. I think he did manage to find one of RMV just before he does get found there by Skyline, but the rest should be viable on towards Ben M. So unfortunately it is going to be Torch that are going to be at the detriment there, and after pushing themselves up into second place, I'm sure they'll be looking to try and capitalise on that and be trying to get as many points as they can. But unfortunately they are going to have to continue on as just 3 members. Skyline though, nice to see them picking up a nice early point, especially how they performed in game number 1. Got a little bit unlucky in game number 2 with about the 17 teams that were fighting down towards the south there, getting 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th partied at one point. Unfortunately didn't pick up too much there, but yeah, definitely starting this one off as they mean to go on.
WC finding a second knock as well. This is on EXH that time. Marco, it's definitely possible if Tweak's quick, but he's got to run across the open there on the Gotti. Just going to try and get himself inside. A few tags coming out back his way, but WC not going to be able to confirm that one just yet. And you don't want to overextend quite yet. You've got F2S, OG on this hillside as well. And I think we did praise OG's position in the previous game, but again, this sort of position up on the hillside, don't mind it just yet, but all of a sudden you're going to have a few teams around you, and you wonder whether this open area is going to be you know, worth it. If you do lose a member, you can take some shots onto Cocky. One headshot connects, but he's really got to try and make this count now. The rest of WC now can be aware of his position already, kind of looking this way, setting up. You see Spence. He's get involved. Yeah, another headshot coming his way, but all of a sudden, yeah, and there we go.
Yeah, nice little knock there coming out from WC on towards BHE. I don't know whether OG can quite get himself safe. It looks like he might be able to call himself here. It depends if he's able to get off this rock easily and for the rest of his team to be able to come up and get that revive on towards him. Larry already in the vehicle trying to get over here. See if he can possibly find that one. Medic coming in, save the day, and unfortunately gonna crash himself down at the bottom of that, and yeah, gonna have to try and get up on foot. But yeah, plenty of time. First knock, only, you know, you've got 60 seconds to try and find that, and yeah, you should be fine there. The zone is going to pop though. It's going to go towards El Pozo, and we have had El Pozo finishes in the past, and they are absolute carnage and so much fun to watch. But you know, I'm not really thinking about that at the moment, because what I'm thinking about
I know what you're thinking about.
Which team's dead center? It's Dig.
Of course it is, and in a very strong position as well. It is going to be tricky to hold this. You know, take nothing away from that. You can easily get crept up on here, but I already like how they're kind of playing this spread around, watching teams making their way over. TSS going to be the first team. We see F2S coming down this western side, and I'll be surprised if we don't see a couple more teams opting to kind of push down this central road, even take it wider into the hillside. TSS are getting pushed back. Dig put some shots down, so you know this is important for them to just make sure these teams know that they're up here. So
yeah, the thing is, I don't think you're going to get too many teams from the south wanting to push up there with the expectation it's going to push away from the unplayable, which I'm pretty sure part of that Crater Fields area is just towards the right-hand side. I don't think that's playable, so it is going to push away from there eventually. They're all kind of expecting it to go sort of towards the El Pozo direction, which, you know, I think most people will be right in assuming that, which means they're not going to want to push up above El Pozo. They're going to have to push back down into it. So all the teams in the south not really going to want to contest that area, which means Dig have only got to worry about the potential of a Guita coming over there, which I don't think they will. I think they'll play, you know, relatively around near where they are currently, or Dub Hub. And as long as they can just suppress Dub Hub and make them rotate wide, which they can definitely do, Dig are going to be in a great position to just pepper shots down on all of these teams. One team that is struggling still, though, is going to be K7, who are in a fight with MW. They have been able to pick up a nice early knock to actually sort of, you know, be able to take that. And I think the rest of MW actually further away up on the hillside, so K7 not in any trouble at all. Apparently they can just take that kill and continue to rotate in towards the zone. They have got a little way to go though to get in, and they have got WC and CoR kind of around near that direction, but I don't think they're going to be having too many problems trying to make their way in here, and should be able to get themselves a nice little entry in towards this zone.
M-Way, one of the teams need to move as well. GT are making their way over onto this western side, and it is going to be that kind of magnet from the road. They've got to be careful they don't run straight into M-Way. You can't imagine they'd be expecting a team over here, probably thinking it's the same team here, but M-Way not really in a position to want to pull up. Yeah, Walshy maybe just heard those vehicles there, but right now let's go over to BT. They're finally get some points on the board, and it's going to come from CoR, who aren't having the best of starts, unfortunately. They're going to find one straight away. They've put themselves in this bowl, and they have to be careful because the nades are coming over. Ollie and Hauer going to get these right in on them, and this could be not too far from the first one there. The second one on catches Donny as he tries to run away. The second one has been found as well. Hauer's going to find him, and it's all on White to do something now, and the push is coming out from the CoR, and surely they're going to see this one out here, but Gav gets caught in the reload. Got to be careful. He's going to spam the DMR, but Ollie comes up and gets the job done. 4 kills for them.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately losing one, but they are going to be able to get the kill up on towards them, as we see GT going back towards that. Obviously still having to rotate away down on towards the south. They do manage to get you know, out of the sight lines of K7 there, and also M-Way, but they have still got to move themselves in. The zone has popped, and it has gone towards Dig once again. I mean, as we said, it is unplayable around towards Aguita's position, so I think, actually, this could center up directly on Dig, which before it was a very strong spot. The problem is if this centers up completely, it could actually be really difficult to hold, because you will have teams pushing from the south and towards the north. I suppose the only saving grace for Dig is the fact that there are so many teams in the south that have to push up. So actually they might be able to be found, but yeah, you said found GT pulled themselves right up, and they were not accounting for M-Way to be here. Walshy just having to prone down by this vehicle town. He's already been confirmed there as Husky. Being able to find him. And Berkey and Husky, the last two remaining members for Emway, trying to see what they can possibly get on the board here. Is that nade? It might be good. I don't think it's going to quite reach, though. No, you need a massive arm to be able to reach that one. And Walshy, gonna have to see what you can possibly find here. The rest of GT trying to go for a wide rotate, maybe trying to punish from the backlines. Kaneki on that bike might be able to find himself a nice angle here. Is Berkey gonna get inside that vehicle as Kaneki finally managed to pull up on towards this hillside? He's gonna be able to spot the members and he's gonna start. Doesn't take shots, just loses line of sight there, unfortunately. And Emway actually want to take the fight here. They've realised it's just a single member up here for GT. The nade's going to come over, but going to go far too far. And now potentially GT could lose another one as Walshy gets saved. But Kaneki now finds himself in a difficult position.
Yeah, and he's heard them coming. Emway, of course, don't have the intel just yet. He's trying to get that med off, ticking down into the blue, just waiting for his teammate. But they're looking the wrong way. They've disconnected from this completely. And he could really struggle here. He's going to find one, surely. Yeah, Berkey around on the side with Husky. Unfortunately, just missing his shots there. But he is going to find the second one as well. 2 big points there indeed. GT do live to see another day for the moment. But yeah, you mentioned this zone. Let's talk about this because all these teams condensing in. And I don't blame them when you're looking at El Pozo now. It is a favourable position. No one is wanting to push up this hill just yet. Dub Hub in the north. Spicy Bra clearly aware, and Agueta going to be trying to hold out Skyline, Torch and RMV, who are still all vying for position on this eastern side here.
Yeah, 2 of TSS have been knocked. I'm not quite sure who actually knocked them, but Gazoo is going to be able to get the confirm there. Q also going to be bleeding out. I think EXH maybe picked that one up, so yeah, that's going to be a knock for them, but actually going to be crawling right in towards the sight lines of Diggs. They might be able to get themselves another second point hit. They're trying to cross the road. WC, though, they're continuing to cause problems with GT as Walshy and Jamie K finally getting in towards the zone, but are going to get caught out there. And Kaneki now as a solo. More things coming out for GT here. EXH, though, they're going to start opening up the fight on towards BHE. That's dead center of El Pozo here as Nata gets caught just crossing between the buildings. Unfortunately, Larry still needs to make that run as well, but he's got F2S right next to him that he needs to worry about as well.
Yeah, and BHE, again, I don't want to be criticising them, but they found themselves in, as soon as they pushed towards El Pozo, you had 3 teams always centering up onto you, and they found themselves, 1-1-1-2, 1-1-2, I think, very split on this, and, losing Nata. This is the kind of zone where if you are in El Pozo and it goes that way, you're looking to find that high-rise building, looking to find that central position that you can really work from here, like F2S, I think, EXH, that's what they want to do here, and they found themselves just caught out and having to fight off these teams, fend off these teams, and get pushed back. And they could struggle a bit here if they're not careful. I think F2S do have the best spot, and look at that shift. So yeah, zone 3 shifting right the way down. Dig now have the high ground to play from. They don't really need to worry about their north as Dub Hub. I think they're probably going to try and rotate and crash in. I can't imagine we'll see them pull up here, bearing in mind they've been shot at, but now this could leave them open because all of a sudden all these teams are going to recognise, oh, there's a team up top. Let's put some shots into them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, luckily for BHE, they have been able to find one of FSS there as Arminius is going to fall, and as there were only 3 members in the lobby, it's just going to be 2 members left up for them now. Try and continue with this one, and yeah, they got a little bit lucky maybe with that one, being able to isolate the 1 member, Larry winning the 1v1, and it's going to put them back in a position where they can group up as a 3. They do still lose the 1 member though, so they're going to only have 3 members up. EXH, they're pushing straight in towards Aguita, and unfortunately for Aguita, they have lost 1. Actually, I think it's Aguita that pushed into them, and it's going to be Pepe, Yuji, and Marcos now to try and do something. Last time this zone was up, Aguita doing so much work and doing really well, and not really quite the same story for them this time. GT. Then the same story for them though, as they do lose yet another member, and that is going to be GT going out.
Yeah, we see Skyline just dropping down as well. TSS still fending them off somehow. Dig getting eyes on this. Agueta have to be careful on their push because EXH found 1 on the way in. RMV, Kadosh is still alive in the backlines. I thought they'd been dealt with. He's going to find Fizz and really punish them, and it's just the 2 members of Torch, and this is where we can see how hard this hill can be to get off. And Merc and Koyomi, you can see Jimbo looking this way. Agueta, they're all trying to get involved. CoR having eyes this way as well a little bit. The smokes are out, but they're only going to last a certain amount of time here. 11 HP on Koyomi. Merc's down to about a third as well. It's a very tricky situation they find now.
Yeah, and what's even more disappointing for Torch is the fact they didn't even get the kill on towards Kadosh. Got him so low, and he ticks to blue. So That's another point they're not going to be able to get. Merc gets found there by Jimbo. I'm going to confirm that one as well. So TSS picking up another point, and they're down to just Jimbo as well, but he's still doing enough to be able to pick himself some extra points up. Kyomi got a big mission ahead of him as he needs to try and find a way in towards this one. Only 2 kills on the side of Torch as well. With 11 teams up, it's unlikely they're going to be able to make it into placements unless Kyomi can somehow get under cover and try and find his way in here. But I think so many teams are aware that he's up here. They're just constantly focused here and waiting for that free point to be given their way.
I think you're right here. Now let's go straight over to the western side because it's that position where we always seem to have a scrap. It's WC and DubHub who've actually filled in between them. Entel's caught at range there. The 3 members holding the line closely. Cocky needs to get that res onto him as quickly as they can. Dill's looking to change positions a little bit, maybe look for that res. Actually, a little bit of Macas is going to catch him through the doorway from that south side. Takes a bit of damage in return, but WC keeping up on 4 strong. And you wonder if now is go time. Get Cocky back up and let's try and push in a little bit here.
Yeah, exactly. I think that seems to be the way. You know, just they've got themselves back up to 4 strong. They have got to try and make their way in, and they do not want to allow these reses to come through. Entel's already being res, so they put themselves, you know, sort of at more of a detriment when they try and push in now. They've got 3 members to worry about, and Dill looks like he's going to be resed as well shortly after. Entel's going straight for that one. Low kick tries to find the high ground here, but doesn't matter because Mingo on the off angle finds Macca's trying to get across that open range. Low kick finally gets his position, and there we go. Cocky's going to be found. It's going to be a second member for WC going down, and all of a sudden WC looking like they came off with a nice start, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't aggressive enough, and unfortunately are going to end up losing 2 members. They're trying to go for the res in the smoke, but Macca's, after he was found, did going to steal some of these away. They're still picking up kill points in this one, and WC look like they're pretty much down and out in this.
Yeah, they are, and you know, you have to hail Skokik for his position there to get into that building. I thought they were just moving away because they were on the back foot, but actually that was such an aggressive change of position there, and it's really worked for them. And let's keep eyes on Dig for a second, though. Our current leaders at the moment are going to crash. That's Wizzy as he tries to make his way down the hill, and we can see the Tracer's already taken a few shots into that vehicle. It's not going to last long. He's down to a third. That's F2S. EXH are going to be looking this way. They're wanting to get them out for sure if they can. And the rest of the rest of Dig actually, sorry, just inside. But again, everyone on this hillside is going to be punished. There's no easy route down here now.
No, there certainly isn't. Wizzy seeing if he can possibly find somewhere to play in this zone. Has managed to hit the deck and maybe found himself somewhere, but Spencer hasn't. And unfortunately, he's going to fall down to DubHub. Finally picking up that final member there. But for DubHub, they didn't really pick up too many of those kills. 2 of them getting stolen away, and they're only just down to 2 kills now. The problem with these city finishes, you need to try and get as many kill points as you can because you've got absolutely no way of knowing exactly where these teams are, you know, how these end zones are going to play out. They're so chaotic that a lot of the time it's down to literally a few points that you can just grab, a few little scraps, get a couple of kills, and you'll die with only 7 up, but you'll somehow still come 7th. And placement points can't really be relied on as much as if it's a zone where you can kind of stay as a 4 and try and push yourselves up. So unpredictable.
Dig still 4 strong for the moment, though. They are going to be one of the only teams who has to move. Certainly the furthest here. DubHub, you assume, can get in quite nicely. We're keeping eyes on K7 just for a second. Kudex made his way up to the top here. The other 2 boys, Tyro and Kiza, in with a good position here as well. BHE have regrouped a little bit, as we can see, but actually I don't know if the split across the 2 buildings is what you want at this stage. You know, maybe you want to be a little bit tighter. You know, they do have centre zone. They've got a lot of room to work with here, but all of a sudden these teams are going to be making their way in. Agueta on the east side, they're going to be focused on Dig. I thought, you know, maybe they'd be wanting to move here, and actually that's going to slow them down a lot here because Tyro from range, that's a massive stretch there, finds Lizard from absolute miles away through the arena in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Nice find there for Tyro, and K7, despite losing Anto very early, don't seem to have too many problems with that. They haven't really picked up too many kills either. Just peppering the smoke there, where Lizard potentially being rezzed here by Pepe, but yeah, they've only got themselves 1 kill, so still not a big game, not into placement points either, so they haven't got that to back them up. But Qdex, his position looks absolutely, you know, could cause so many problems for all these teams, having that high ground position and just raining out, as long as he doesn't go down and get found there, because the res can be very difficult to get. But damage here to all these teams. Yeah, he could really pick up a lot of points here for K7.
Yeah, we're seeing Jimbo making his way in on the south side. He's sneaking in. He could be a bit of thorn in the back here. Dig have made the crash in. Keep eyes on this, though. Wizzy caught a range. No chance of the res, really, for him there. The rest of Dig have actually pulled up on a hill I didn't even know existed. I can't imagine. I don't think I've ever seen a team play this. Maybe for this reason, because EXH do have the angle on them here. I think these reses are definitely possible, but I can't imagine Dig are going to get much further. And F2S trying to rain some utility down onto them as well here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not the best of positions, is it? But they are staying alive. They are being able to just, stay up here, keeping 3 alive. And yeah, okay, they might not be able to get too much further in this game. Oh, bro.
What?
The car flipped right on top of Spicy, bro, and he gets knocked to it. Unfortunately, that's really not what they would have wanted. And maybe he should have just regrouped with the rest of his team on that little bowl there. But yeah, unfortunately, he's going to go down. I think they might be able to get the res. Going to start crawling through that smoke, using the utility to be able to get that revive. Yeah, I think they should be able to get it. But yeah, not the situation they want to find themselves in. QDex, though, going to be able to find Sco Kick from up high. We said that position could cause a lot of problems. He's got the nades in hand as well to try and confirm that, but not quite being able to find the target with them, so not going to pay off. Unfortunately, Sco Kick should be able to get res there, though, so... Oh, no, I spoke too soon. Antology, you're going to find the angle on that one. Going to confirm that one. And Lizard going to get picked up by K7 as well. So it's starting to come alive a little bit as the zone pops once again. It is going to center up right on towards BHE. And we've been gifted a couple of zones now. Not being able to capitalize in terms of kills on the last one in school. But they're sitting on 2 kills at the moment. And there's still plenty of kill points on offer. So maybe they'll be able to capitalize on this one.
Yeah, you'd hope so here. This is the time to do it. I'm hoping we see some teams play into these roofs, seeing if they can get something. I'm looking at the one in between F2S. You can jump over there and then take the stairs up. I'd love to see that come in play. It's not the most central position. CoR actually in a decent little spot as well. Of course, you have to be careful with that building because teams can easily push in. We see Agueta, obviously not too far away at all, and CoR clearly aware of them as well. A little bit focused on K7. Of course, Jimbo lurking around still. He's still alive and kicking, but actually we're just going to go back to F2S Dig because the 2 members look like they've got the smokes out and they want to get across, but F2S are doing everything they can, French versus German here, to try and hold these 2 members out. Sorry, 3 members.
Yeah, they did manage to get the revive up on the Spicy Bro. Then they're getting towards the open. Antology being able to find Spicy Bro. Kazoo needs to get into that smoke, hit the deck, get that med on. They're all pushing at separate times. Kazoo going to be found there by Antology, and it's all going to be down to Wash, who didn't push at the time. You probably should have done. I think I need to leave 1 person to anchor down. The problem is when you've got 2 people shooting you from windows into that open space, it's so difficult to be able to pick up the players.
Yeah, pushing them as well. That's this.
K7 trying to see if they can possibly find something down here in towards the south. Howard's going to get found out by Greeter as they try and push in towards this zone as well. Unfortunately, no one there to be able to get the trade. Marcos gets taken down very low there as Pepe trying to push in on towards the side of this building. The nade in the hands of both Gab and Pepe. And that nade could be good if Pepe continues to push around. He doesn't though. Does manage to get away from it. Gav going to prep another nade to try and see if he can find this one. Howard getting rezzed there by Ollie. So he will be able to be back up to 3 strong as K7. They did lose Tyro in that one as well, so just Kizza and QDex, the last 2 remaining members. QDex position still very strong, but I don't know how much longer for. Is right on the very edge of the zone here. Mingo actually going to be able to find the kill on towards Jimbo, and that looks like that should have been QDex's, but doesn't manage to pick it up. And unfortunately, K7 not capitalizing on as many points as they'd like. Dub Hub actually going to be the team that have been able to pick up plenty more than what they have.
Yeah, and here we go. One more shift. We're seeing where we're going here. Surely it's going to go down towards the middle, keeping QDex in. Of course, this is going to center up. So you're looking at BHE's position here. Zenking with the building to himself. Going to do so much damage from this. QDex just spotting CoR as well, but actually being helped out CoR there from Zenking, who does find one of Agueta, who are looking to push its Pepe once again. They did manage to get the res on Marcos. And he's going to get flushed. Of course, it's going to be Dig. Let's get a quick eye, see how many kills. Only 3 kills, but they've had a decent game here. Zenking, is he looking for this? He's spotted him there. Surely going to find Dig, and I think it's going to be them out. Our leaders do go out in 8th place, though. Man, we're still just about finding our way into placement points here.
Yeah, it was certainly hard. I know, you're falling down at this point. You're thinking phase 8. I've got to be able to get a couple of points, but only getting the 1 is not definitely not what you expect. But yeah, Dig 4 points on the board. It's still points going their way, and they just extend that lead even further. Pepe finally being found there by Gav, but Ollie gets knocked there by Zenking. I I think they might be okay though, because there's no one really with sightlines on towards this one. Gav going to be able to pop himself out the building. There's no way BHC are giving up this position, being dead center of the zone like they are. Zenking with a really nice position now on the high ground. QDEX just holding out here, and I think this is the play for him. I don't know what he's actually looking like. Oh, he's got so much ammo still to play with. I don't know how he's been able to reserve so much being on this position for that length of time. But yeah, he's been able to hold it on quite a while, and he is really well set up for this late game. He's going to be able to play this rooftop relatively late, and he'll just be able to find everyone as they try and make the crosses. I don't know whether he's going to quite be able to find CoR, because they don't have to cross quite so early, but you might be able to find some of EXH and DubHub, whoever comes away from that fight there as it's breaking out. Nade landing on towards Anthology, leaves just Grigui as the last remaining member. Trying to build in the smoke, not going to do too much for him though, and Tweak going to be able to take that one after hitting with the molly, causing all kinds of problems. But Tweak needs to try and get himself into the zone. Very cautious about what's going on, and yeah, he does manage to get himself in.
Yeah, they do find Zenking as well from the top there. Larry hasn't moved across yet. And you look at QDEX, and you mentioned he's pretty much got as much intel as you and I have at this stage. He knows where everyone is, surely. You can read the feed, you can hear those shots, you can work out where these teams are, and this is where it starts to get dicey for this teams, because you've left him up here this long. I know he's been prone, he hasn't used his ammo, as you said. He's got reserves, he's got their helmet, he's got the vests, he's got that util to really cause an upset here. Now he can start to punish these teams. DubHub know he's up there for sure. He hasn't been too loud, but BHE, EXH, CoR, can they spot him out before he does too much damage here?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely something they need to be aware of. QDEX going to just push himself down here, try and use the smokes. Really, really good play, but I don't know how much time he's going to have to play for this. The smokes are still coming down, trying to deploy them. DubHub, as you said, know that he's here. The smokes are just sort of coming there to actually help DubHub a little bit. QDEX trying to push down. Howard does find him though. Can't quite get down to ground level, and that's not the biggest game there for K7, but they got themselves some points here. As now BHE come alive, they do manage to find Tweak, but Larry gets knocked in return. So all these teams just doing damage to each other, and I think both DubHub and CoR are going to be pretty happy about this, because they're able to use this to push into this position. The problem is they're pushing at the same time, so I'm not quite sure who's going to find who here. Dill does manage to find Larry though. That's going to be a confirm and a steal away, and that's going to be another point going the way of DubHub.
We've got Marco down at the bottom. It's him, EXH and DubHub here. OG's going to pop up from the top. He's starting to get involved. Going to find Bent just like that from the top. It's down to Marco, EXH. She down to one. Entels gets spotted as well. Zenking up the top here. Ollie are going to go head to head here. CoR do get the flush on them. They're going to go down in fourth. It's 2 for BHE, 1 for EXH. They're going to try and stick that res if they can. OG's watching here. He's just watching the window. He knows Howard's around here. They're a floor below. And this is where... Oh, I love these finishes. It gets so dicey for these teams.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's all about who can get into the better position here. OG and Zenking just both holding up on the landing here. Gav's going to be able to find one of EXH. Find two of EXH. That's going to be them going down. It's just going to be a straight 2v3 situation versus BHE. Ollie goes down. It's a 2v2 situation. The rest of the team not being in a position to help. But there we go. Howard finds both of them through the smokes. It's a 13-kill win for CoR, and it looked like they were pretty much struggling to start that one off, losing Traves so early on in that game. But doesn't seem to matter, apparently, because they come away with a 13-kill win.
Yeah, huge game. 6 and 5 kills respectively for Gav and Howard. Massive, massive stuff from them. They'll be very, very happy with that, especially bearing in mind they're on 4 points from the last 2 games. Not what we've come to expect from them. And yeah, that will go a really long way. BHE and EXH having decent games as well. You mentioned, these teams aren't going to be having those heavy kill games, but 13 kills and a city finish is massive actually, because you have to fight. We saw CoR having to fight. Fair enough, they got the zone a few times there, but they fought Agueta, fighting K7 in the south. They picked up the points, and yeah, 23 points from a city game is very, very big.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it looked literally, I think I had a look at all the teams when there were 6 teams left up, and no one had more than 5 kills. It was very, very balanced between all the teams, and I think CoR just right place, right time, potentially winning the fights that they needed to, and yeah, they are going to come away with a 13-kill win. But one more game left today, 4 games tomorrow, so it's getting towards the point where these teams need to start turning the gears up a little bit, trying to keep up with the other teams that are starting to get that edge. Dig, pick up some more points in that one. 45 points now on, and that's already a decent total, but they'll definitely be looking to try and pick up on some more points in this game. So we're going to take a very short break, and we'll be back with game number 4 in just a moment.
And welcome back. We're going to be going into our final game of the day in just a matter of seconds, and it is heating up. Dig still with a sizable lead on the leaderboard. We will get that updated as soon as we can. Of course, it is a fresh week, so a fresh pot of money up for grabs for these teams. I think K7 still in with a very big chance. You know, if you're that's the thing. If you're thinking if it was CoR, TSS, Torch who just won those first two games with 40 points, you know, K7 will be worried. You know, luckily for them, it was a team right down the bottom. Dig, 80 points they were off. Saying that, 80 points, they've halved that gap in 2 games. So, they're having a good start. But K7 have picked up a few points along the way. So I don't think they're going to be too worried about it just yet.
Yeah, I mean, K7 haven't had the biggest point total. I think they only got about 5 points in that game. Luckily for them, Torch didn't. But looking at the overall leaderboard, the gap was close to about 36 points, which still sounds like quite a lot. But actually, when you look at the whole bigger picture, they came in here with about a 40-something point gap between them and Torch. So actually, the gap is being closed a little bit. But I think we need to get straight into this game because I'm just seeing how many teams are dropping around La Cabrera, and we've got Dig, who are our current leaders, BHE, who have had a decent game in that one, and BT, who have not had the best of games so far, all dropping into the same spot. So this could be a little bit interesting. See how this one pays out, and it looks like Dig once again just gonna leave it. And I like this strat from Dig. It's paid off for them. They don't have to fight those teams early on. The problem is though, NASA gonna find Gazoo straight out that vehicle, and that's gonna be an instant confirm, an instant point. I don't think BT in a position to be able to steal that one away. And yeah, there we go. OG gonna confirm that, and Dig, the leaders, down to just 3 to start this one off.
Yeah, clearly these teams couldn't get enough of the city. We can't afford to trade this early on when you're in this position that they find themselves in, because if they just keep picking up points now, 5-10 points a game, they'll be in with a really good chance of keeping that gap at the top of the leaderboard. Elsewhere, we're seeing a few swaps going on. Jamiekin losing his life early once again. That's WC finding him. You don't contest WC at Picardo. What are these teams thinking here?
Yeah, but not only do you not contest them, you don't contest them with only sending 2 players there and the rest of your players up towards the north. I just don't... Like, if you're going to drop... WC are going to be here. If you're going to drop on a team, why would you just send 2 players there? Because you're pretty much saying, okay, we'll just have 2 points. The rest of your... it is a very, very strange decision. Not quite sure what the thought process was around that. I don't know. We kind of touched on it. Maybe there's a bit of a disconnect between the team. Because don't seem to be performing as well as we're used to seeing from them. But yeah, this whole event just seems to have been a bit of a disappointment from GT's point of view. I don't think it's kind of where they want to be sitting. I don't think they want to ever be considering are we going to actually qualify for this event from the first round. I mean, I think they scraped through in 8th in the top 64, and that's really not what we're used to seeing a team like GT being.
No, you're absolutely right. And, some of the plays from a lot of these teams actually have been certainly a lot more aggressive. You think back to PCL over the weekend. I know different kettle of fish in terms of prize pool and, what was on the line there. But, another free event. And we were seeing 64 up, very late game. It's certainly a lot more than you or I had seen on console, historically. Probably a lot of these players as well. And, it feels, I don't want to say it feels a bit scrimmy today.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think that might also be down to with the PCL being at the weekend. I think a lot of teams kind of burn all of their focus and things on there, and
quite rightly, massive.
And, yeah, when you're looking at that kind of level of money, if you compare this to that, that it is potentially a small change in comparison. Winning this is obviously less than what you would get if you just got into the money. In 8th in PCL, but at the same time, it's still a good chunk of money. It's definitely nothing to be sniffed at. And, compared to some of the other events that we also have around the console community, this is a big prize pool. It just happens to be that it was plonked right next to a £20,000 one.
Yeah.
But, I think some teams definitely have sort of checked out a little bit. Maybe having a bit of a disappointing PCL or a very successful PCL, both of them could change your mindset coming into this game. And, it's definitely thrown a couple of teams off. I think GT definitely going to be one of those that are kind of at detriment to that, not really getting the points they wanted in the PCL event, and not finishing where they would have been expecting. and it has just kind of thrown them off a little bit. It looks like, I think, did we lose Walshy as well, or is he? No, he's actually battling on the 5 stack with the rest of WC. So he's got a 4v1 situation. He has got the S12K though, which has been performing very well recently. He's going to be able to find one, tries to find a second, doesn't quite manage to land it. Does find a second though. He's going to be able to pick up both of these players, I think, because I don't think there's anyone from WC that's close enough. Try and get the confirm, doesn't manage to. Oh, he does manage to just get it. Coffee comes in. He's got to take Walshy away. WC losing 2 members again. Didn't need to happen. Townley actually finding Merc, so something about this split is kind of working, I guess. But definitely not the. You're not set up for success with that.
You're not at all, and I don't mind this, to be fair. I think with GT, this, you know, I've just been spectating Townley. We saw him just hiding in a bus for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, waiting to camp Merc on that vehicle, and you know, it's throwing a spanner in the works of these teams, and it's very fun to see on stream. It's not fun when it's your team losing players to these kind of snakes and these plays that you can't predict, because you know they are so unpredictable. But you know, I don't mind this from GT, just trying to upset the lobby a bit, because the lobbies that we've seen, I don't want to say they've been scripted, but it's almost been very similar in terms of who's been winning, who's been underperforming and overperforming, etc. And it's good to see a bit of a shake-up from these teams.
Yeah, exactly. You know, BT, unfortunately, kind of with BHE, and it's going to be Dig, actually, that comes in. Why is Dig always there? I thought they'd left this long time ago, but no, apparently they are going to pick up the 1 kill. Trixie and OG are going to be trading as well, though, so that's another member of BT going down. Just Donny, I think, is the last remaining member left up.
No,
Bang, actually, yeah. Bang Bang is going to be there as well. And yeah, might be able to go for a potential revive on Trixie, but that's a challenging revive to try and get. Donny pretty much just needs to try and do this now as a solo, because yeah, Bang Bang is going to be found. Zenking, well, Donny does confirm that. He has got Zenking right next to him though. A little bit wary of that. And OG, you know, BHE potentially going to be able to get 3 away from this one if they can get the reservoir towards Larry and deal with Donny quickly, but. Yeah, it's just been problems, more and more problems with BT here, isn't it? And they're not really been performing as we expected them to. But we kind of said, you know, it's an all or nothing kind of thing for them. They've got nothing to lose with that. That stun was so good, by the way, but doesn't matter because Donny is going to be able to find Zen King. Going to confirm that one. That's what OG trying to come to the reload. He's going to turn into shot down there towards OG. Gets him down to 1 HP, but no, OG is going to be able to confirm that one away. And BHE unfortunately down to just 2 members now for the rest of this game, and Dig are watching patiently to see if they can maybe clean up the scraps from this.
Yeah, BHE losing 2, but you know, you have to commend actually the push really worked and getting the res on Larry there, bringing him back up and getting a bit of a clutch there in the end as well. So you know, 4 points on the board, and you know, if they can take away anything from that fight, you know, I think they should be pleased with how that went. Of course, losing 2 isn't ideal, but if you can fight for your drops, if you can, you know, cement your position and show these teams that you are here to fight, that you aren't here to be walked over. You know, as you mentioned, BT haven't had a good day so far. It has been tricky for them coming in, you know, a week late behind these teams, having already known how each other play. But you know, hats off to BHE there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, played that well, being able to hold fast, and you know, they're not looking too bad on the leaderboard. Currently sitting in 6th going into this game with only 2 points off of the money in 3rd. So yeah, looking pretty good for this so far. You know, it's nice to see BHE being able to perform from the get-go. Sometimes I feel like it's been left a little bit late. Obviously, they did perform well in the qualifiers, but since then, haven't seen too much from them on towards 2-2. Yeah, Sticks just jumping in his vehicle as well, and Marcos and Tritoon still remaining split with Lizard and Pepe, so potentially could cause them some problems for Aguita, but I don't think they're going to have too much of an issue with teams pushing in. Grigui looks like he wants to push in, but with F2S doing this as solos, you know, actually they might be okay here, as Aguita going to still have the numbers advantage here if Grigui tries to push over here.
Yeah, we saw Agueta get a decent game here. If you remember last week, K7 got the win, I think, from this position, but Dig again, picking up points. We'll come back to that in a sec, although it looks like they might be able to clean up Clanks if they're quick as well. But yeah, Agueta's position is a very strong one indeed. We've seen Hara and Kizzer actually in the north scrapping for a crate. Hara's got the upper hand. K7 have moved off. But yeah, we have fights coming on all over the place here. PHE as well. Hats off to them, just walking through the bar. Actually, he's come to pick him up. This is so smart. K7 were swarming, as you said, that rock a really good position to really wrap this compound, because when you find those hillsides, when you just deny line of sight up those hills, the teams really can capitalise and can push down. K7 are going to take it comfortably, but yeah, I think F2S a very smart play to get away from that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, just making sure that you don't take unnecessary fights. They knew they were outnumbered anyway. They knew it was a full team above them, and yeah, just Arminius coming just to get the pickup, not going to the vehicle that they, K7 are thinking that you're going to go for as well. Also leaves you in a good position. So yeah, we're going to see K7 be able to take that compound relatively free. Even had time to just go run back and get their vehicles, bring those in as well. So they're going to be in a really decent position here going into this game. Of course, depends on where this shift does go, because yeah, we've seen it shift kind of around pretty much anywhere from this location. Water treatment less likely though. I feel like we're going to be seeing it go around sort of almost all the way over to EXH's position. That generally seems to be the more common of the zones.
Spicy Bar's going for water treatment, so that's where it's going. There you go.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot about the dig. The dig
principle, yeah.
Zone bonus. But they've been able to pick up this tournament. But yeah, you're right. Spicy Bra literally found himself dead center here, and the rest of dig going to jump straight in, and that does put once again K7 in a position where they have to try and rotate in, and they're quite lucky that there's not too much ahead of them. But yeah, K7 is not having any circle luck so far, and they seem to be struggling with their rotates. Normally they're so good at them, and they get themselves into really good spots, but just not being able to find those positions where they can get those kill points from. Dill already spotting Tyro out on his rotate. He's going to pepper some shots down that way. I don't think anything landing particularly, but remember, all of these shots raining out from these teams are going to just, give more and more information to those teams that are surrounding. CoR being one of those, they need to try and make, find somewhere to play in this zone. The fact that there's lots of shots being peppered that way, they'll soon identify exactly where these players are and work out where they can push to. Dubhub going to just try and regroup around towards Dill's position. That does leave the other compound free. Whether CoR will be able to identify that, we'll have to wait and see. But Dig, yeah, they're going to regroup towards the center, and EXH, Marco going to nade himself. I'm assuming that was a knock with a nade in hand. It looks like that was the case. F2S, I think, took him out, and I'm going to confirm that one. But yeah, unfortunately for EXH, they are going to be down to just 2 members, it looks like, and they're actually playing really well coming into third coming into this game, and unfortunately not looking like they're going to be able to pick up too much more in this one. But they have still got 2 up, and yeah, we kind of mentioned it on it earlier. When they're a full 4, they can do a lot of damage, but when they lose 2 members early on, it does generally tend to be one of those more difficult games for them.
It does indeed. Spain v France is going to be our next fight. Gugui did find a knock onto Marcos. He's now back on his feet, but F2S and Agueta converging on this compound here. You mentioned it earlier. Now the fight is going to break out for sure. Gugui just holding the fence. The rest of Agueta coming up on this western side. Marcos on the roof. We've got to be careful. He doesn't suddenly spot these members. He haven't quite had the sound cues just yet. So he's trying to hit a med. Got to get tagged in the back lines a little bit. I think that's Mingo looking this way actually. So you've got to be careful here. But I love this by Agueta. They're holding the crosses, and I think Gugui surely going to be found 21 HP. Not going to go down just yet, but you can't run too far here because all these players are set up ready to find you.
Yeah, exactly. They certainly are, but Gugui actually found from Skoking up in the back line, so whether these teams will identify that was the player in the compound is unknown. But yeah, now that'll give the cue. Lizard finding Komi, and they know that another member's not. They want to get aggressive onto this. Marcos finds Ontology, and just like that, it looks like we could be seeing Aguita taking this one nice and quickly here. Marcos taken down very low, though. Does need to be a little bit careful because that's exactly where Dubhub have been raining their shots. And actually, it's going to be Arminius being able to find him in the smoke. And that's going to be an instant knock confirmed. Does start pushing, but he's hitting the reload. Doesn't manage to find Triton, and agreed to come away from that one with a few kills and keeping 3 alive, but you kind of feel like it should have potentially been all 4.
Yeah, not a bad trade at all, though, to be honest. They're not going to be too disheartened by losing one on the pull-up as well, pushing away from maybe a bit of a better position. And we can see Torch have already backfilled into that. Of course, both teams finding themselves outside a zone, and that zone shift as well. WC having rotated on that, TSS moving out of their previous position into that. I don't know how Clanks is still alive, actually. Just seeing TSS and CoR raining shots at him for the last sort of 5-10 minutes here, but somehow he's just crawling into zone. I don't think he's going to make it into the next one, surely, especially with Jimbo and that looking this way. CoR from the top of the hill as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's not looking the best position, is it? Clanks somehow not being found where he is, but yeah, lots of tags or lots of shots coming his way. The smoke does come up, but yeah, this has got to surely be the end of the road for him. I would imagine Lizard, he's got himself an Orm as well. It's the second Orm we've got in play, and has been able to find the head of Fizz. Torch a bit of bad luck as well so far in this game. We're not really having big games like we're used to seeing, and here we go, we see GT finding conversion towards BHE, OG getting knocked towards Kaneki, and Towney is going to be able to actually find the rest of BHE. A little bit lucky that they were just a two-man as well. As GT obviously losing two very early on, they are going to pick themselves up a couple of points here in towards this one, and now we see Aguita, EXH, and Dubhub all trying to take a bit of a fight with each other.
Yeah, K7 going to be backfilling on this. They've been holding the north, and this is where K7 really show what they're made of, because they could have easily pushed up onto Dubhub and taken that fight and trying to take their position off them. But actually, they're biding their time, and it's pulled. This fight has pulled Dubhub away into this, and it's allowed them to kind of backfill into this. Of course, they're not in zone, but Yakiza already piping up and finding one, and just quickly, Dubhub lost their position and lost the player.
Yeah, exactly, and all of a sudden that puts K7 at that advantage. They don't have to push down if they don't want to. They can just wrap in. They know which team's here. They've got the information now. Skyline and you, though, they're taking out Torch here. Fizz falls down for the second time. Comey going to get knocked as well. And it's just going to be Ghost left up in this vehicle, heading straight towards Dubhub. Surely this has got to be the end of the road for Torch. And there we go, Mingler's finding a member. And that's Torch going down very early on once again, and they're just falling further and further down that leaderboard now as all these teams around them continue to pick up points. Ghost, the last remaining member, does fall down in 12th. EXH, though, they're also still having some problems here. Lizard from the blue is going to be able to find one. The nade might be able to find the second. I think Checkbench just going to be able to get far enough away, and Dig continuing to pick up points as well as Spicy Bra finds Dill, but no, he gets stolen away. But doesn't matter because Wizzy's also found Mingo.
Yeah, got to try and confirm that one. No, Anto's going to pinch that one away. Agueta fighting in the blue once again. Two solos out in the blue, just scrapping for pride here. They're miles off placement, unfortunately. The rest of the team's pretty much set up in zone. They're not going to have to worry too much here. Skyline, Dig, K7, all going to be converging on this sort of north water treatment area. Skyline just looking to find some kills in here as Entels surely going to meet his maker any second as Wizzy's trying to confirm him. He's going to wrap down, actually might be able to get in here, and if he makes this in, this is massive, but no, Wizzy with the spray finds him, and Dig 3 kills on the board, having lost Gazoo. First member going down, remember, it doesn't matter because the Dig shift coming into play once again and having a nicer position, because you feel like these teams in the north have to fight before they push down into Dig's position.
Yeah, exactly. They certainly are, and they're in a good position. They can just bunker down now. They might get themselves an extra couple of placements, and with those 3 kills as well, it's just continue points. Just keep pushing yourself up that leaderboard, keep keeping that gap between you and the second place team even more, especially with the fact that CoR, unfortunately, only 1 kill, and they've got Ollie knocked as well. They've got to try and make their way into zone. They've got to try and overtake TSS to do so as well. Both teams trying to converge in towards a similar location here. On towards this one, I think Trey's going to potentially try and get the res up on towards Ollie, but they need to be careful because you've got Jimbo and Link are trying to push over, and no, it doesn't matter because Jimbo is going to be able to get that sightlines on towards Ollie to confirm that kill, and now CoR needs to try and take this fight. They need to try and force K7 TSS out, and that nade not quite being able to find its target. The second nade to follow also going to be a little bit wide as Jimbo and Link are doing a big job of holding down the fort, while Polly just holds down in the compound here as well, as he sees if he can get himself a different angle. And yeah, TSS doing a really good job here, but they've still got to try and move themselves in. And WC now I suppose their only saving grace is that they haven't got the team up on the position they've just come from. And actually, they want to get aggressive on this. They're going to try and take TSS, and I don't know if the TSS are aware of this, as Q trying to see if he can spot the players. I might have just spotted them trying to push across, but it's down to Linker to try and see what he can do. But it's Polly that finds the opening knock. Yeah,
Q is pushing round here. I wonder if he's gone a little bit too far because the rest of the team are behind him. Headshots Anto gets him straight out. Kiza and QDex around him. Pops up. He's going to get found in the back, and surely they're going to get the job done. ROV piping up as well. They're wanting to get involved. Kiza taking solo. QDex as well. They're going to pop up. He's going to find Linker on the spin, and that is massive to find now. Can he get the job done? He's solo. The rest of the team looking for reses as well. Q is pushing his way onto Kiza. He's going to get the job done. Does find him. And TSS 9 kills. Massive game from them here.
Yeah, exactly. Sitting in 5th as well coming into this game, so this should be enough to maybe even push them up in towards 2nd place already, with the fact that, CoR didn't get too many points on the board, same with the EXH and Torch. So they're looking pretty good. Obviously, it depends on what these other teams do that are still up, but RMV, they've not really been having the best of games. They're right in towards the bottom of the table here going into this one. Actually, they're mid-table. They're in 8th with 18 points, so yeah, potentially if they have a big game here, they might be able to change that, but only 3 kills on them at the moment. Not too many players remain up. But one of the teams that does remain up, of course, is going to be Dig. 3 kills and a top 4 finish at least That's another 7 points going to their total, and that just puts them up to at least 52 points and really starting to extend that lead. And if you look at the, the points from last week with, what K7 managed to achieve, they got themselves 102 points, which means that Dig have already got over half of that coming out of day number 1 after half the games. So they're looking pretty good for potentially take the win overall.
Can they keep it up? Of course, Dig haven't had anyone really push them as of yet. I think we're finally going to see the zone slow down, these teams slow down a little bit because we are, out of the hairy part. Although saying that, Skyline backfilling onto RMV, the res is back up. And look at the nades in their hands already. Unfortunately, going to be a little bit too short, and they're hearing this come out. And they are just getting sandwiched. TSS and Skyline are getting aggressive on this. They want these kills. They know they're here, and Dig are just left to look and laugh at this, and Skyline are absolutely punishing them here. They want these points. They need to get these kills before TSS pinch them away here.
Yeah, nade could be really good there. No, it doesn't quite reach, but CoR XZ is going to push over, does manage to find Skylinks. So he's going to just slow them up a little bit. Shane tries to get the off angle, but that nade will go absolutely nowhere near RMV. Maybe not realising they're quite so far away across that ridge line. I think we have to confirm their kills. Maybe potentially going to be found there by TSS. Here he is. Kadosh goes down to Linker. Shane does manage to find Ben Ems, and actually, sorry, JB's still up in that smoke. Yeah. So TSS do manage to steal one away, but Skyline do manage to get that extra member back up, and Dig, now they're doing what they've done best. They're completely backfilling in towards this and going to try and see if they can take the fight up on towards TSS, as TSS going to have to deal with both RMV and Skyline here. Linker, I think, aware that there is a team pushing up here. Wizzy, though, is so close. I don't know whether TSS is aware that there's a player this close here in this situation. As the nades, Util trying to play up on towards the back 2 members here, but Skyline, they're now able to start pressing up, but the problem is they've got to deal with RMV first.
Yeah, this is flipping backwards and forwards. TSS fully committing to the north now. Skyline have gone the inside of this ridge as well. There goes JB. He's dealt with at least, so Skyline have some room to work with. Pol was looking for him as well, but TSS are just pushing so far around on this. I wonder if Dig are aware that they're going to be quite this far around, because this is a massive swing back from them, and all of a sudden Skyline are the team who are free to move into zone a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is really smart play here from TSS. They made sure they're not the team that's getting sandwiched, but no, Washed is going to be able to find Linker, and that's right on the very edge of blue as well, so they're not going to have too much time to actually be able to get any sort of reses. The Util continue to come through. Wizzy finds Jimbo as well. This is huge play here from Dig. As a second nade to follow up, finds Jimbo. Polly finds Skyline, but, QRXZ and Polly very split now and working as the 2-man. Really difficult for them to try and find it. Dig, I don't know if they're aware that there's still a player in this smoke. QR could find both of these members. He does pop out. He does find one. He finds 2. No, he doesn't. Dig managed to take both of them. Should be able to get the res here as well. And now all of a sudden, it's a 3v4 situation. Skyline EU and Dig continuing to just pick up so many points in this game. They have literally come in a different animal here in this one. Wizzy being able to find a nice couple of tags on towards Shane. Huge play here from them. And Skyline and Dig, both with similar sort of sides of the circle. It's going to be down to kind of where this zone shifts to. Will determine which team's going to have the slightly better luck, as neither team really has to move just yet. The shots continue to rain across.
Yeah, we see Sticks going low on the right. Beta was kind of looking for the left as well. Sticks is taking this really wide. He's gone straight into the water treatment, knowing that this is the last team to fight as well. If they can sandwich them here, this will be massive. Skyline doing so well to get to this position as well. TSS helping Dig a little bit here, because they did find the knock onto Skyline, giving Dig a bit of time to kind of regroup, and they have got back up to 3 strong, as you said, but we can see Sticks here. He's got eyes, he's going to punish Wizzy there, does so much damage, and that's just going to alert them there's a person on this side. He doesn't need to get too aggressive. Sticks can just wait this out, don't overpeak this, don't lose your life, because the rest of Skyline are just holding that high ground, just waiting. Come back their way. One more shift. Here we are. Dig going to be gifted once again. Not really. They're going to have to come off that a little bit. They're going to be really condensed on that north side, and Skyline do have the zone to play here.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of got to see the zone shift, and you've got to see, how Dig are kind of sort of confined to this little position. Skyline, you've got so much spread around the zone, so much room to play here. It's kind of looking like it might be their game. We said, can they finally come up and they, start doing some damage? And it seems like they're finally starting to do so. Kind of average games up to this point, but yeah, this is a much better game from them. Sitting on 6 kills already. If they can clear up all of this, it's going to be 9. Beta finds Washed, and now it's a 4v2 situation. Wizzy tries to, I don't know quite what he's trying to do. find a bit of space, but Shane's going to be able to find him. Spricey Bar does manage to get the return, though, on towards Shane. But now it's all the way for him by Solo. He's going to find Sticks, though. And maybe he's going to try and confirm that one away. I don't think he's going to be able to have time, though. And there we go. Beats are going to pop over there. Going to confirm that one. And that's going to be a 9-kill win for Skyline and EU. But, I mean, incredible play there from Dig once again to get themselves into second place with a good number of kills.
Yeah, you saw the kills coming towards the end game there, and that's what those positions do for you. You know, they moved out really well. They moved into water treatment because it's not a position, you know, a lot of teams would opt to play in, but you have that hard cover towards that centre of the zone. It really worked for them. But yes, Skyline, again, they were up on that east side. You remember, they were fighting all those teams outside the zone, picking up points, and a few kills going their way, and deservedly finding that win there. You know, GG's to them.
Yeah, exactly. You know, incredible play there from Dig, but yeah, Skyline coming away with the win there was really well played from them as well. And that's going to really make this table interesting going into the final day. You know, Dig, arguably not been the most consistent team throughout this event. Yes, they've had a brilliant day, and I really hope they can continue that one going into day number 2, because it'd be great to see them have a massive turnaround from 15th to 1st across the 2 weeks. But, you know, it is going to be interesting. They're going to have to really work hard to try and make sure they maintain that lead. And, you know, with those other teams all very close together below, it really could be anyone's day tomorrow to try and come out and try and get those points. You know, K7's had a slightly better day there, so they're going to push themselves up, and we know what they can do in a day. We're also going to have, you know, CoR, that they were in second, not having the best day, but picked up a few points. You're going to have a big game coming out from TSS. They're going to push themselves up. BHE as well. Got a couple of points in that one, taking out BT early on. You know, all of these teams racking up the points. I think the only team that didn't was Torch in that game. But, you know, plenty of other teams that did manage to pick up the points to keep that so close going into the final day tomorrow.
Well, one more day left. 4 games for these teams to try and get themselves, you know, some more money. And, of course, the money is weighted more for this week 2 team, so I think it's 250 for first place. You know, the prize is very much split across, of course, the 2 weeks. But, you know, Dig, do they have what it takes? We'll have to wait and see. We're not going to hang around for too long. We're not going to wait for the leaderboard. We'll get it up before tomorrow. But yeah, we'll be back here same time tomorrow to see if Dig can hold on and do the fairy tale story down at the bottom right to the top in a week. So without further ado, we're going to call it a day. I've been Droideka. I'll be joined by Silencer. Have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Just roll with me, darling.